Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how good are the Sharks? Are they any good? Is the winning sustainable? That's what we're going to talk about, main topic. But also, too, we're going to bring on Kevin Woodley of NHL.com. He is their goalie guy. We had him on last year. And he's going to talk about Yaroslav Askarov and Yaroslav Askarov's really wonderful November following a nightmarish October.
But before we get into it, a quick note, this show, like always, is free. We make it because we love talking hockey and digging deep into the Sharks for the fans that bleed teal, but it is also made possible thanks to some awesome support from BringHockeyBack.net. If you know Bring Hockey Back, you know they've been repping the Sharks for years with some really clever and funny t-shirts, just a really good feel for what makes hockey culture and Sharks culture special. They do beautiful custom jerseys for your beer league team as well, so hop on that if you need some custom jerseys. If you're into hockey, you like this podcast, you want to see more of this podcast, and you like to have a fresh look at the rink, check them out at bringhockeyback.net. Use the promo code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off all things at bringhockeyback.net. Boom.
Let's go. Good read.
One take this week. I like it. No Sheng Peng fuck-ups this week.
Hey. I just covered 9 a.m. flight from Seattle, right? So I think I'm doing pretty good.
To be fair, both of you have been on TV this week. I have not been on TV,
That's
so
true.
you guys have practice.
That's true.
That is true.
Pretty sure I saw Zubair on HBO After Dark. It was a little weird.
Channels in the motel.
You know what I mean? You gotta do what you gotta do, bud.
I got a good slow thrust.
Real stiff shaft joke already.
Right, exactly. So, I was playing beer league. I got in. I was in Minnesota too for other reasons. And me and Sheng actually met up the night before the Sharks played, and it was kind of funny. We're like, let's go out for a drink. Sheng gets in at 12, and we end up going out for a drink, and he busts out his laptop and starts working at midnight at the bar for like an hour. Just talking about Sheng's work ethic here, because I know Boilers loves that word. But he's a worker. He's a grinder.
That's great.
But I got back the next day after the game. I had a beer league game at 11:15, which I was on Central Time, so it's like 1:15. And that's the team I played on that actually they brought up the Boilers hit, because the first time Dan and I met, actually, I was playing on a 3-on-3 tournament, and Dan and Owen Nolan were there just to promote. And there's a pretty funny moment. We'll get the clip up here afterwards, but you want to tell them what happened?
You guys, you're going to load up the clip so people can put it together? So the Sharks, we have 10 alumni, and I always volunteer myself when it's anything golf related or hockey related or bocce or something fun. Hey, I'm the guy. So long story short, they needed a couple guys to go in because SAP had been rented out for beer league hockey from 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. this 3-on-3 tournament, and I said, I'll go. So Owen and I are just supposed to the ice is split into two, so there's 2 games going on, half ice at the same time. We're just supposed to coach. And I said coach, just basically bullshit. Just help out, mingle or whatever. And we're representing the Sharks. So this one team's just getting destroyed. It's 3-on-3. I think there's 3 of them. The other team's got 6 or 7. They're just getting killed. And I'm like, can I go out there? They're like, yeah, sure. So everyone's on skates. I'm on my shoes, right? I got my shoes. I grabbed somebody's fucking stick. And I go out there, and there's this, and I'm saying he's a kid, and Zubair, you could say how old he is. He's probably like mid-20s or whatever, but he's doing circles around everyone. I never liked that,
He was a no passer too. He was not passing. He was not dishing the puck.
So anyway, so he goes and grabs the puck, and he tries to toe drag me, and I just I just thought I'll just kind of lean into him, not thinking anything bad will happen. He went down pretty fucking hard, and he was not happy.
Boilers open iced a guy on a fun 3-on-3 tournament where they weren't keeping score.
So I saw the video. If you look at the video, it doesn't look that bad, but like in real time there, and all these beer leaguers are like, oh, yeah. So the funny thing is he had no idea what it was. I think he's new to hockey, has no clue who Dan Boyle is. I don't think he knew who Owen Nolan was. So when I knocked him down, he goes, fuck you, old man. I'm like, oh, really? And he said something like, you want elderly abuse? I'll give you elderly abuse. And I'm representing the Sharks at this point. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I like lift him up. I'm like, I'm sorry.
You were super apologetic.
I was so apologetic. Yeah. I felt like shit because I'm there representing the Sharks. I'm not there representing myself. It's like, I'm there to be, So anyway, so he was pissed. And then we go after, so fast forward to after. I still feel like shit. We go to like middle area where you guys are gathering around the bar having a beer. All of a sudden, everyone starts buying me beers because they're like, yeah, that guy always, he's like a level 6 coming to play with level 10s. And he's always like, so everyone was pumped that I put him down. Yeah. And then he comes out 10, 15 minutes later and he was all like, I didn't know who you were. I'm sorry. That was great. So it ended up being a positive story. But for about 10, 15 minutes, I kind of felt like shit. Because I had rocked a kid down pretty good, made him look pretty bad. So that was the first time we met Zubair.
Yeah, exactly. That was a funny moment. Like, I mean, this guy was a bit of a hot dog too. Like, he kind of had it coming.
He was a total.
Yeah, he had it coming.
Total.
And his response was,
oh yeah, he goes, you want fucking elderly abuse? I'm like, that's when the first one, fuck you, old man. I was still representing the Sharks. Then he's like, you want elderly abuse? And then at some point, I said something like, calm down, or something. Like I was kind of, I kind of went from like being a nice guy representing the Sharks to like, okay, one more, and that's not gonna go well for you. Maybe in anywhere else in the world you could take me out, but on the ice, that's kind of my domain. So
yeah,
and at least you didn't drop the gloves.
And I got Owen Nolan behind me, and I'm pretty sure I was more sturdy on my feet than he was on his skates. So, anyways,
that was the funniest part. He's toe dragging on skates and couldn't get around you, just standing still, and then you just leaned into him. It was like such a good moment. And so this is where the Barracuda play. So Keegan, have you been to the Barracuda arena?
I said SAP. You're right. It was.
You have not, Keegan?
No, not since they built Tech CU.
Tech CU.
Oh yeah. So it's so great because they have a bar now behind the opposing team's goalie. So you could just grab a drink, bang on the glass behind the Fireball Lounge. And so we were all sitting there like. They also had like matcha lattes like spiked that you could buy from Nirvana Coffee. I was like 4 deep, and so we're all watching this. And Boilers open ices him. We're like, we did not expect to see this. We're just like pumped. Like, let's go.
And there's a clip of this. We can put this in the podcast.
Yes.
We want to see the biggest hit by a Shark since Redding Shimmick. It is actually, there's a video clip of it I posted on San Jose Hockey Now. I think it happened in August or something like that, right?
I love that.
A couple months ago.
Like I said, the video doesn't give it as. It was a pretty good hit. Like
it was a good hit.
From my angle, he went down pretty good. I felt like shit. But yeah, he had no fucking
probably
idea who I was.
Podcast now.
Yeah.
We got one more subscriber or one less. I don't know.
Hey, if he dropped off, I know there's a whole league of people that are like, yeah fuck it, hey, let's go. Subscribe. All right, so let's get into recent Sharks hockey. We had a couple of home wins with Winnipeg and Florida, and then on the road with Minnesota, Calgary, and the Kraken last night. So, I mean, the big question mark is, about the Sharks and the entire road trip. Some good hockey. They snuck away a win in Minnesota. But, some of these road games, the Calgary game in particular, was really difficult to watch, and they didn't look very good. So I guess the big question today to start off is, like, is the Sharks clip that we saw of them that 2 weeks doing great, is that sustainable? Are they going to get back to that at any point? And sort of where are they headed next?
Sure, they can, as long as Yaroslav Askarov posts a .965 save percentage. They'll win a lot of games.
Right.
That's his save percentage through the month of November. And so, no, that's not going to happen. I think that I don't even look so much at the Calgary game, and Dan can speak to this, but there's just games that you're just terrible. Nothing goes right. Yep. And so I don't even count the Calgary game in all this. But if you look at the Florida game, they were outplayed, and Askarov saved them. If you look at the Minnesota win, they were outplayed in the second period, and Askarov once again saved them. The best game they actually played in the last 4, counting the Florida win, was probably yesterday against Seattle. They probably deserved a better result. But if you have Askarov stealing a game for you, well, you're going to lose a game then. That's the rule that maybe you deserve to win or you deserve the point in. So I think the biggest problem that I see, I don't know what you guys see, but it's really what we saw at the beginning of the season, that a lot of it is on the defense. I'm not talking specifically about a John Klingberg or Nick Leddy. The Sharks have 9 defensemen on their roster, and one of them, Dmitry Orlov, in my opinion, belongs in NHL top 4. That's not something that is a sustainable formula for success this year.
Keegan, why don't you give us your 2 cents, man?
Yeah, an interesting thing is they keep changing out. Like every game, it seems like there's a different person coming in, right? And Dan, you can speak to this too.
Yeah.
It's hard to find that kind of rhythm as a team when like every night somebody else is the defense pairings are changing. Also the forwards too, but the pairings are changing so frequently. And you're right, Orlov is like the steadiest, but because of injuries or because of just play, I don't know. I feel like we haven't really found who's going to be the top 6. Right, it feels like we're just kind of trying guys in and out. Dickinson, Mukhamadullin, Lil Chagrin sits, Desharnais goes in. Like, it just feels like a lot of switching. And I think that's been improved, right? We're not getting scored on 9-2 anymore like we used to last year. You know, it's like it's improved this year, but I think we're just missing some consistency and some rhythm on defense that I don't know if we have the personnel for it or if it's just needs more time to gel kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, as a player, I never liked sitting out. So I know the coach is trying to, like, with Mukhamadullin and Dickinson, trying to give them breaks here and there. But that's good for the coach. That's good for, but it's not a fun way to play when you're in and out of the lineup. So eventually you'd like to go to a top 6 on a regular basis. Once in a while, you're going to have an injury or whatever, but you'd like to identify that. So it's still early in the season. They're going to try to figure that out. Let's be honest. This is going to not, like you said, there's no Norris Trophy winner on that blue line. There's no Cale Makar. There's no, nobody's going to take over a game on the back end. So it's going to have to be team defense. So what I liked, I did the 2 games on TV I did were the the Florida game and the Winnipeg game. I thought when the Winnipeg game was the best game that I had seen the Sharks play all year. And when I kept saying on the air, and I did radio as well, it was like how well they played aggressively on the offense, that defensively they didn't have to play defense as much. And then in the Florida game, the first period, same thing. They were all over Florida, played aggressive. Guys were pinching, top high guy. And then, as I was saying to Dan Rusnowski, who obviously knew, he's a Hall of Famer, seen 3,000 games, I'm like, this is going to change. Because they went up 2-0, I believe. And I said, this is going to change right now. And I think Marchand scored them in the very next shift. Yeah. So I did not see the Calgary game. That's the one that I was told don't even bother watching, so I won't. But I think with the personnel that you have on defense, and there's some good players, they're hardworking guys. You got guys from other teams that are kind of Leddy and Orlov, and I think it's more of a team defense, and I think that the way to remedy that, and this is just my opinion, guy who thinks that Dan Boyle is preaching the gospel, he's not. It's my opinion. I think if they can just play a little more aggressively offensively, if that makes sense, with a high guy, they're going to spend less time in their D zone, and I think that'll benefit them defensively. Okay, so that's my opinion. That's like a team, like a football defense. If you're always backing up and you're letting a quarterback, Josh Allen, whatever, make the reads, they're just going to pick you apart. So I would rather lose playing aggressively than playing defensively, and that's what I think I saw when they were playing well. I felt they were playing very aggressive. D were pitching. Guys were backing each other up. Yeah, there's going to be the odd mistake, the odd 2-on-1, but I thought that, to me, that's the team that gives you a best chance of winning every night, and then your goalie is going to have to make a few saves, and those guys have been playing well. So I was hard on them at the beginning of the season, but they've obviously rebounded, fixed their issues, and so that's kind of where I'm at on the defense. I think it starts as a team defense. You don't have any Norris caliber guys back there. Play better as a team defense, including the forwards. Be a little more aggressive, and spend less time in your D zone.
I think you make a good point there, because when you look at the Sharks roster, if there is a strength to it, it's more closer to the forward side, just because of how good Macklin is, that step he's taken. But also, too, they have Willie Macklin, who's taken a step. Will Smith has been a good contributor. I think a lot of the underrated growth of the Sharks this year is actually in their bottom six. Ty Dellandrea has become a player again. Barclay Goodrow is showing that he's still a player. Guys like that, right? And so when those forwards are able to establish forecheck and pressure, then that takes pressure off the defense. And so when they can't do that, though, or when a team like Florida wakes up in the second period and they're like, what the fuck? No, we're not going to let this happen anymore. If they push back, the Sharks aren't really capable of taking that shot. Askarov was able to do it, but not the rest of the team. And so that's kind of their strength. But that's what's going to happen, though. There's going to be some games where the forwards can dominate, like the first Seattle game, the 6-1 game. But there's also going to be games where they just have nothing, like the Calgary game, or it's kind of on and off, like the Florida and Minnesota games. It's still not a great forward group. It's just the strength is a little more concentrated up front than it is in the back end.
Yeah, so play to your strengths, and like the Florida game, the second half, when you have your top guys on the ice and they're defending all the time, every time they got the puck, there's nothing. They couldn't do anything offensively because they were gassed, so they were just dumping the puck in, changing, same thing over and over again. So their strength is for sure on the offense. So I would lean hard into that, play a responsible, offensive-oriented game, and eliminate the time in your defensive zone as much as possible. A little quicker on teams. Don't give them as much time because they're going to pick you apart.
It seems like they, like you said, they gave the blue liners like the go-ahead to start pinching more, right? We got like Klingberg pinching a ton, I noticed, and doing really well at that at times, right? But then last night, Mukhamadullin makes that pinch that like...
A phantom pinch.
The pinch of
that was a bad read.
Play. I mean, it's just like the wrong read.
There's a read, and I'm sorry to just step in again, but there's a read as a defenseman on pinching, and it's a quick. I always talk about that Terminator 2, like quick analysis.
Yeah.
If the three forwards are low, you can't pinch unless it's like last minute of the game, goalie's pulled. You got to take a chance. If the three guys are low, you can't go. So your first read as a defenseman is, where's my third guy? And you can see it happening as it develops. Okay, where's my third guy? Where's my third guy? Where's the puck coming? I'm going. And sometimes it's not even you have to go. You're already, if you can get up there already, which I think number 3 has done a good job. Like, you don't have to make a 10-foot pinch. You have to make a 4-foot pinch because you're already there.
Yeah. Yeah, he abandoned his F3 to pinch on the wing, and Gaudette, I think,
went to the wall.
Yeah, the puck never went to the wall, and because he abandoned his center outlet pass, and they hit that, and it was too late for Gaudette to pick up on.
Which goal is this? This is the Seattle game?
Yeah.
This is Seattle, the 2-on-1. I forget who put it in for Seattle, but that's where.
Was that the one backdoor and Macklin was kind of playing the 2-on-1?
No, that was the first goal. So
okay,
no, this
was
I think the third one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one-timer cross ice.
Yeah, the one-timer cross ice.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember the finish, but I don't remember how they got there. But
yeah,
Mukhamadullin
you gotta watch that one. Yeah,
there's two guys back, and he basically pinched to nowhere because the puck wasn't going that direction, but he thought it was because there was a guy sitting in between him and the puck.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a bad read.
Didn't go there at all. Which I love Mukhamadullin, but I think a part of that is he's not playing all the time because he's coming in and out of the lineup, so he's not.
It's not easy,
reps.
man. I've done it early in my career. I've done it late in my career. I hated it. I remember getting taken out in New York. We're going to arrest you because I was older. I'm like, no. I mean, that's the worst thing that a player wants. A player wants to play.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're hurt. If you're hurt, I get it. But no, man. If you're playing well, you want to play. You don't want to take time off because sometimes that can stop your momentum and hurt your confidence a little bit.
I want to remind them that
first goal too. Oh yeah, I was going to say, just talking about the reads on that first goal because we brought it up. You know, Klingberg again pinched on the high slot instead of moving backwards and protecting the middle.
Well, he chased the puck,
what
right? Yeah, he tends to chase the puck when
you just have to back up, use your stick, angle him to the outside, and that pass isn't backdoor to Macklin, but Something else though. So to Dan's point, I think the Sharks are moving more to a more aggressive defense. But what happens also is, if your secondary scoring after Macklin dries up, you don't stand a chance. And Kurashev hasn't been scoring the last games. That line has not been producing the last couple of games, and all of a sudden you're losing by 1 goal. You're in these games, but you need some secondary scoring too. If you're going to play that kind of a game, people got to finish.
Yep.
And there hasn't been a lot of secondary scoring in these losses.
I wanted to mention, though, with the defense, though, that they have a lot of defensemen, and that's not necessarily a Ryan Warsawski thing, right? So he's just trying to deal with what he has, and he has a lot of people that kind of a lot of mouths to feed here. So he's trying to kind of move it around a little bit. I think the other part of it too is that, speaking of Mukhamadullin, right? Specifically, we're going to talk about Klingberg too. I know a lot of people are unhappy with Klingberg, and he hasn't been great. But Mukhamadullin, the last couple of games, and I want to give, he's not giving a chance to get into a rhythm. I get that, but he hasn't been good the last couple of games. I mean, the Minnesota game. He got sat for a reason. If you watch that game, you look at Marcus Foligno, surprised him twice on a forecheck. That's just not high-end NHL work by him. And then yesterday, that phantom pinch. And there's another play I saw yesterday where he had the puck by himself, and the Sharks changed lines, and he didn't move the puck to the line change, which was the top line. And then the Seattle F1 got on him, and he lost the puck. Really just kind of unforced errors there. And so he doesn't seem to be playing with a high amount of confidence. And the question then you talk about then, is that the coaching? Is that him? Is that both? Either way, though, in terms of should he be in a lineup every night, I don't see it. I can see why they pull him, though, especially when you have 7 other defensemen that have arguments for being on the ice.
I mean, if we go back to other lapses too, I mean, there is a egregious mistake by Sam Dickinson as well.
Sure.
And I think I think to your point, we don't have a number 1 defenseman, and we have this logjam of 3-4 defensemen, essentially, and.
I mean, that's being kind. I don't know if they're 3-4s, to be honest. It's really only Orlov, and you can make an argument for Ferraro. Those are only 2 guys I see that should be in the lineup every night, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and well, then I do wonder the question about these mistakes and how they're being treated and dealt with on a managerial level, to where is there a sense of nervousness because you see that trepidation with some of these youngsters at least from the eye test, Sam Dickinson looks like he's afraid to make mistakes at times. And then he makes these mistakes. And I just don't know how that's being handled with. Hopefully he's able to just be out there and be himself so that he can get the reps in to become a better defenseman. And I've seen some stagnation the last couple of games in his. We saw some progress, and now it's kind of flattened out again.
Again, as a player, I know this all too well. Early in my career, late in my career, I felt that. If I made a mistake, I knew I wasn't going to be probably playing for the rest of the game and probably playing for the next 1 or 2. So you start to play trying not to make a mistake, and I don't think that's the right way of playing. So yes, I can see that some of those guys, like Dickinson, when he was told he was staying up, thought he played well for a few games because it was weight off of his shoulders. But since then, in and out of the lineup, maybe So yes, I think that's where coaching is important. None of us are in the locker room. We don't know how they're being coached. So hopefully the head coach, and most of the time it's the assistant coach, the D coach that's going to be. And then
Doug Huda.
And then going back to JD last week, hearing JD talk about me gave me freaking goosebumps. It was so kind and so nice, and I wasn't thinking about that at that time. So I'm hoping there's guys in the locker room that are just kind of and that, what JD was talking about, me saying fuck them, fuck him, to some people it might be well, that's not nice, that's not good team attitude. It's not anti-coach. It's not it's a thing to say for somebody that needs to hear that in order to play their game. So I love Todd and I love playing here, but at that time I felt he needed to hear that in order to play his game. So hopefully, the veterans that they brought in, some of the older guys, are patting him on the whatever, hugging him, whatever those guys need, but just kind of helping out their confidence, because coaches can only do so much. I think the veteran guys need to help out some of the young guys and even older guys when they struggle with confidence. Just remind them what they're there for and remind them to play.
Any of you guys know how to say fuck you in Russian? Because that's what Dmitry Orlov should be saying to Shakir.
Yeah, right?
I know blet means something, but I don't think it means fuck you. Nikolai Habibulin would always yell, blet! Blet! Pretty sure there's some Russians right now are like, that's not very nice. That's not very nice. I don't think it's a nice word, but
I wonder what Ferraro, because Mario's been on this team for a long time. He's one of the more tenured Sharks at this point, right? He's been through some really, really, really rough years, right? With lots and lots of goals against him. I wonder if he's got a voice, and I know he's loud, but I wonder if he's got that kind of mentorship in him with these young guys that he's been on the other end, scored against every single night for years. Like, he's probably had to listen to some chewing out. Like, I wonder what his voice is like in the locker room, because again, we don't know because we're not in there. But I'm curious.
Yeah, and it's important to know. Sorry, real quick. I was important. Some guys, and it's not like it doesn't have to be in front of everyone. It's one-on-one. Some guys it depends who the player is. Like some players, I think even JD was saying, like, I want to be told where to go, what to do. Guys want to be given direction. So that's those guys. I hated that. If you were like, Dan, do this, do that, I hated it. I felt robotic. It's the same way I do my TV. I don't prepare. I like being natural. But I'm making a joke. But you got to know who you're talking to and what they need to hear. Some guys need to be told, hey, man, just do this, do this, do this. Some guys need to be told, fuck that, play your game. Kind of more of a loose, like, use your instincts. You're here for a reason. And, that was my thought. Just kind of knowing what to say is important also. You can't just give like vanilla, bullshit. If it doesn't, every player is different.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that the natural kind of, and I'm in a room in a very public kind of ways, like, the players know I'm there, so it's not like, behind closed doors. But I see a lot of Desharnais talking with Dickinson. They've formed sort of looks like a very natural kind of friendship. And obviously with Shakir, Dmitry Orlov, I think that's been a natural one. Not to say that Mario isn't involved in any of this, but with Mario though, I think too, I wonder with Mario that his contract status, I don't, he's a guy that doesn't know if he's going to be here, like really this time. Every year he's in trade rumors, but he's got a contract at least, or he is an RFA, the Sharks have his rights. This year really don't know if Mario's going to be here past February, past March. And so I wonder if that can blunt a guy's voice a little bit in the room if you just don't know if you're going to be around. And Mario's still loud, still hear him, but just trying to answer your question a little bit, that with the two young defensemen the Sharks have now, that those are sort of the kind of mentors that I've kind of seen them around with a little bit more.
And to your point, like, I would like to see Klingberg also maybe, he has a lot of experience and has more offensive upside than Desharnais to maybe take Sam Dickinson under his wing a little bit more. Not to say he's not, but I would hope that's the case. Because he has so much experience, playing in the offensive side of the puck and how to walk the blue and things that Desharnais probably can't speak on as well as Klingberg. So
let's talk about Klingberg a little bit, just because I know he's sort of the voodoo doll for Sharks fans, the ones that they're poking the most. I don't like I said, I don't see this as a John Klingberg problem. I just see this as an issue as the team not having enough good defensemen. Specifically with John, he's here for a power play. And is it time to maybe put Orlov as PP1, maybe. I think there's an argument for that. I guess let's talk about that first. That's one thing I wonder about. What do you guys think about that? They're very different kind of defensemen on the power play. Klingberg's more of a puck mover. Orlov is a clear, he just shoots.
I got something to say here.
There's a lefty-righty thing there too. Orlov is the lefty and Klingberg's the righty. But I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you got to go back to Orlov. I think that's good coaching. I think you have an idea of what a line should be, and the power play with Klingberg on it, what I see is a lot of perimeter hockey, and they're just moving the puck well, but around the perimeter, and they're not creating chaos or breaking down the other team's PK. And with Orlov, there's a bit of like just throw it on net, create some chaos, and it statistically was working better. And I understand trying Klingberg some more, and why Warsofsky went back to Klingberg when he was healthy. But if it's not working and the other version is working, and if you had as many power plays as you did last night, why not shake it up when that power play is not working? And you had they had so many chances last night.
They had 6, and that's one goal, which was a very pretty goal, but just one goal though. So and there's not a lot of net front presence, which is the other problem that I find on the power play. I think right now it just feels like, hey, what are your top offensive players? Let's throw them all on together. And I think I like, why not try Gaudette on there instead of even Eklund? Like, this guy is great on the power play. He's proven he could score on the power play. Played on the power play in Ottawa. Had the most power play goals on the team last year. Try Gaudette out there. Shake things up a little bit. I would say that they already did do that, though, because Wenberg has done a lot of net front for the Sharks, and I think he's capable of it, even though he's not like the most like, he's big, but he's not the most like physical guy, but he's big though, and he knows kind of where to be, take away eyes and that kind of stuff. So they are kind of doing that, but they don't have a natural net front guy. I mean, like a star net front guy though, for sure though.
Yeah, or you could put a big body there, but I also, and I love Eklund, but I don't.
Time.
Yeah, right. Like just put someone out there. But I don't like Wenberg's net front present has been good, but what I do see a lot is, and I love Eklund. I don't think Eklund's on your PP1. I think that's where you swap it out with a better net front guy.
Ooh, I highly disagree with that one, but
well, no, and the reason is because he was really good where Macklin is now on the power play, and he's not going to take Macklin's role. But you'll see. I don't see him doing a great job in the power play because his role has changed with Macklin. I think he's great on the PP2.
And look how Maddie made Keegan. Keegan just like
yeah.
Eklund, not PP1.
I just disappeared for a moment. Don't worry about that.
Right? Is it the guinea pig?
Headphones on. Keep talking, Zubair.
Yeah. No, that's my take. I think you can bring someone in there because I do like Wenberg. Wenberg's good on the boards too. Protects the puck
also
well.
Can help win face-offs too. So.
Yep. And I think you can move Eklund down to PP2 and then bring up Gaudette. He's got some finish. He's got some hands on him, and just let him. Again, this is that thing where let that work out for a while. Try that out for a while. Let him get chemistry with that PP1.
I wanted to talk about forwards later, but Eklund's been so good this year.
So good.
I get step up from last year that I don't know why you would put him on PP2. You want to put him on PP1, and I thought he did a nice job yesterday on PP1, taking the other flank. He took Will Smith's spot on the other flank, and that goal, actually, Macklin gets all the credit for it, but that goal actually is created with Eklund. Eklund had a no-look pass to Macklin. Eklund drew three Kraken toward him. That's what gave Macklin so much time to find Wenberg. So I think Eklund's playing with so much confidence now that I want to see him. Actually, they were kind of doing him a disservice maybe by putting him kind of in a net front bumper spot on the power play early this season, because that maybe isn't his most natural fit. Yeah. But I want to see him more because he's usually played along the wall on the power play. I think throughout his sort of when he's been at his best in the NHL and the minor leagues and all that kind of stuff. And so I want to see a little bit more of that and see if that can kind of continue. I would put Will Smith down to PP2 ahead of before I would drop Eklund from it.
Well, I think that goal is like a good example of the Klingberg ran power play versus an Orlov ran power play, where Klingberg actually gets the puck to Eklund, who then gets the cross ice, who then gets the other they're trying to make that perfect play, right? They're just like passing around the perimeter, looking for that cross-ice seam play, and that's the whole power play. It feels like there's not an actual big shooter on the power play. Like Celebrini's got a great shot, but he is more looking for that he's trying to be a distributor on the play most often. So I don't know. I think it would be interesting to try out Orlov again, because I think they do need to just put the puck on net. That would be, like you said, Zubair. I think at some point they've been trying. They tried 5 power plays in a row with that same exact approach, and yes, they got one perfect goal, but they still need to be a little bit more aggressive.
So my 2 cents is this. Yes, I think I talked about it a few podcasts ago. I think in Tampa, for example, like Torts would want 1 or 2 plays designed right away, which was one was like down low, stuffing it to the net, and then another one would be like your first time, one-time shot at the net. So maybe for that 5 you say, hey, okay, you guys, I need this and this to start the power play, a couple of set plays, and then let them do their thing. But the thing that I agree with you guys, if it's not working, you want to go to a shooting power play, nothing wrong with starting the other 5 guys. It's going to piss off PP1. All right, and it creates internal. It's good though. It creates, so like PP1 gets pissed because they always fucking start second, and all of a sudden you get a little more intensity, a little more fuck this, and all of a sudden PP1 gets some like one-timer, like banging, crashing, ugly goal instead of a backdoor, nice play. So I agree. You got 2 defensemen that have 2 different tools and skill set. If you're not getting enough shots, you want a guy that's just going to start clapping it from back there, having a shooting mentality, and then teams adjust to that, and then you go to your backdoor plays. So I think defensemen are replaceable. I think, Orlov, you put him on 1 or you put him on 2, either way, or maybe you just start the second group with Gaudette. I like the idea of Gaudette in front. I've liked the way he's played. Create some internal battle between PP1 and PP2. Where you can fire up the guys a little bit. I think that's a good internal competition is a good thing.
That's a place where it does maybe make sense to put Eklund down in PP2, because if you're going to do a little bit more of that, then you need a leader for PP2, and that would be Eklund then, I think.
Somebody to carry the puck up the ice.
In that sense, maybe I can see that a little bit more. One thing I want to get to with Dan, because Kevin Woodley's going to jump on in 10 minutes to talk goaltending, and Dan's going to jump off soon.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talk about, Klingberg and Orlov, we can see why, with their experience, why they should be on the power play. But a lot of people are also like, hey, just put Mukhamadullin on there, put Dickinson on there. And in my opinion, I don't see that at all. I mean, these are 2 very talented young defensemen, but they're not ready for AHL power play time, in my opinion. We already talked about Mukhamadullin and his sort of recent struggles. And Dickinson is a player, 19 years old, who's just learning to survive the NHL at 5-on-5. So to give him, hey, PP, you're now our PP1 quarterback with Macklin Celebrini. Good luck. So what I want to ask Dan is overall, how hard is it to run a power play, and how I don't think it would be responsible to give the keys to either of these guys. Even PP2, I don't think would be responsible.
Yeah.
I think your best power play defensemen are still Orlov and Klingberg by a mile.
Confidence is a word that in all sports, and we've talked about it on every podcast. I'm going to talk about it right now. Confidence is so important in all facets of the game. Yeah, you don't want to give a guy the keys, as you will, if he's not 100% confident out there. If he's nervous and not sure, that's not who you want running your power play. The guy that's running the power play is a guy that's fucking got some mojo. He's got some calmness to him. He's got some fuck you to him. He knows what he's doing. It's not always going to work, but he feels very confident in that position. And so I agree. I don't think it's something you hand off early. Maybe, you get those guys on the second power play every now and again. You give them 30 seconds, 45 seconds here and there. But certainly that's something that needs to be earned, and it takes a little time. I don't think either of those guys are there yet.
Does anybody want to mention Macklin Celebrini so we can get it out of the way?
We're going to get to Matt.
So good.
We have a couple
So
more
good.
defenseman topics, though.
So good.
Okay.
He's so good.
I mean, okay, let's talk John Klingberg overall, though, his
Sure.
play. I still think on this team he is, I mean, again, it's not a strong defensive team. I think he's still a top 6 defenseman, for better or worse. So, what do you guys think?
He's got his strengths. I mean, he's got a lot of
Yeah.
strengths. I think his strengths are offensively, obviously. So he's been the games that I saw where the team was playing well. He was pinching a lot. He was up in the ice a lot. His skating ability is not speed and that kind of stuff is probably not his strength. So with him, again, I feel like an aggressive game fits his style because you want him in the offensive side and playing aggressive and forwards coming back, backing him up. So versus playing D, making reads and having to play defense, which is probably not his strength. And I'm being careful because I'm thinking about me where people are like, oh, fuck, I was a pretty decent defenseman. I wasn't appreciated for it, but I knew how to play defense, but my strength was playing in the offensive zone. And with guys like, with Klingberg, I think that's where you would want your game to be a little bit more offensive minded.
Well, you can say that, Dan, because John said it himself. This is actually one of the reasons why I like John. That's not why I want to keep him in the lineup, but he is a great talker. So yesterday I asked him how can he be better, and he was pretty honest. He obviously said, yes, I can be better. And he says that, this was his quote, and I think it comes down to playing with the puck, being better on the breakouts. I think, obviously, my game is better in the O zone than it is in the D zone. So I think if I can be a little better on the breakouts, a little bit more clean there, we're going to play more with the puck. And what I like about this is a guy who knows himself. Like, he's just saying, look, like, my impact is higher if I can basically force or add more offense so we defend less. He knows that.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
And I will say this, too. He's looked better in the offensive zone and a little bit more creative. And that's just a timing thing and getting more reps. Like, this guy hasn't played a lot of hockey in the last 3 years. Obviously played postseason last season, but his timing is also off. But I can see him gaining a little confidence. Like, he had some nice plays in the offensive zone last night.
He did.
And he was
He had
pinching.
one shift where he just was rolling around. I think it was the second period. Yeah.
He was like behind our net, set up. I was like, that's Dan Boyle.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think he set up tied to line drift for a really good chance on that one. That was actually a very good shift by him.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I think overall, like, he shows enough high end that he does generally belong in a lineup more than the younger defenseman. This is my opinion. Obviously, a lot of people will disagree, but just maybe the power play is a question mark. And obviously, he has made some mistakes. He's thrown some pizzas the last few games. He will reach for the puck, a couple of times, and when he shouldn't, where he should just kind of hang back. And so those are sittable offenses. I agree. I think it's coming. I know they've had a lot of patience with him, but I don't think it's going to last forever either for him.
I agree.
Especially with 9 defensemen, right? Like and he
Yeah.
keeps changing, so I think he will get a sit at some point. You just gotta hope that whoever replaces him in the lineup really kind of takes the job and keeps it.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Shane.
Well, I had one maybe kind of radical idea, and I checked in on this a little bit. And I don't know how much you guys have watched Barracuda, but there's one guy down there who maybe can run maybe your PP2, at least, and his name is Luca Cagnoni. And I don't know how much you guys have seen of him this year. I know that Barracuda have been playing a lot better recently. The one thing I checked in with Luca, I asked a couple of scouts recently, and I don't check about the offense because we know he can do that at the AHL level. Yeah. Not sure how that'll translate to the NHL, but we know he can do that at the AHL. But his growth defensively and at the AHL level, and I hear there's some growth this year, marginal, but some growth. But I don't know if that is a kind of out there solution, though.
All right, here's my response to
two
that.
things.
Oh, go ahead, Keegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, okay.
You sure?
All right. Well, it sounded like you were going to say something funny.
I had some to say, but go ahead. We want to hear from you, Keegan.
He looks thicker. He looks like a little bit more built this year. Not like totally built yet, so that's a plus. I think he's never been the most physical guy. I just think there's too many. We have 9 defensemen. Like it's not. I think it's a numbers thing more than anything. I think his time is coming more in the March-April time frame. If he keeps it up, he has played better this year than last year. He looks more of a complete defenseman this year than last year.
Okay.
All right. My 2 cents.
That's why I've seen him.
My 2 cents are this: if you are going to call him up, and you expect him to run your power play or whatever, I'm worried about his play, the ice time he's going to get in games. Only because I know I've been that guy. If you expect to play him 10, 12 minutes a night and expect him to run a power play, that's not a fun place to be. And I don't know this kid. Maybe he can handle it. But, guys that normally run the power plays are your guys normally. Not in every case. I'm sure you can bring up, multiple cases of guys that don't. But normally they're the Lane Hudsons and McCarrs and guys like that. There are guys that play significant minutes 5-on-5 as well. And so with him, I just worry if you do call him up and expect him to run your power play, how much are you going to play him the rest of the game? Because I think there's a correspondence or a correlation, if you will, where you're going to have to play him 20 minutes a night if you expect him to run your power play. You can't expect him to run it playing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sheltered minutes.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Are they gonna, if they're going to call him up, I would hope that they would be prepared to play him and play him quite a bit.
That's why I checked in on his defensive growth, because that's going to be what's going to get him 15, 17 minutes a night at least, if he's better defensively. If he hasn't grown that way, then he's not going to get those minutes.
Yeah.
So do we know why Timothy Liljegren got scratched?
He didn't play well. But everybody played like dog shit against Calgary,
everyone did,
yeah.
and I thought he's been one of the most consistent defensemen, maybe even the most consistent defenseman this season for the Sharks.
He had some drop-off, though, I think, before his first scratch, though. And these are things where, maybe we missed some things, but these are things
that's
where
what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I'm sure they're watching closely, and they had some opinion that he had some drop-off.
Okay. Or I was wondering, if it's a minor injury or anything, but they didn't say any of that, so I was asking if you knew anything. But
no, not that I've heard, at least, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, because you guys brought up Celebrini, maybe we get this quick before our guest, but I want to know Dan's thoughts on this, too. So, Sheng, you got a great clip with Macklin and asking him a little bit about, being friends with Bedard and training with the offseason. I think the quote is, "We're great friends." Right. So I just was wondering this question in general, and Dan, to you, so they're friends now, but let's just fast forward Sharks hockey 3 years, 4 years. We're in the playoffs. Macklin versus Bedard, Hawks versus Sharks. What happens when you play hockey against a friend? And is there any part of you that lets up? Or is it what's that personal feeling?
Well, Dan saw this. He saw this with Doughty and Couture.
No, you don't. You don't. No, I guess it depends on your genetic makeup, but if anything, I feel like it elevates you. And assuming you're a competitive guy, which I would like to think, if you're in the NHL, you have a good amount of competitive, degree to you. So no, I say you want to be better than your buddy. If you're playing head to head, you want to come out on top. You play him harder than you would anyone else, if anything. That's how I feel, anyways.
But don't you guys remember when they pretended not to be friends, Doughty and Couture, for a couple of years?
I don't remember that exactly. I knew they were buddies.
They would say that in the press. Yeah, they would say, "Oh no, we're not friends."
Yeah,
I don't remember
that.
They
basically grew up together.
I remember playing in the Olympics against Pavs. I remember going in the corner, and I was like, fuck Pavelski. I love Pavs, but you get this
I'm a better golfer.
No, he's not. No, I am not. No, he's a really good goal. He's really good.
Not, yeah.
No, but it's I love Pavs, and I think he's fucking amazing. But I wasn't letting up on him. I mean, for sure.
So because I remember this from Scott Stevens, and he said, I don't say hi to other teams' players because I might have to hit them later, which is like a Scott Stevens quote. And
sounds like something he would say.
Right? Like, you can't, like, murder someone if you hung out with them.
I don't know. It's one of those.
You know,
like
like
they talk a lot about it in the NBA too, where like, oh, in the '80s the players hated each other, but nowadays it's just different. So I think that's they grow up together in the youth systems and all that stuff these days.
So with fighting, I'm saying that's completely different. UFC blows my mind when like two teammates. I watch UFC when two guys that train together will like or are friends. They'll fight for like a belt, and I'm like, that you're trying to like kill someone. Like that is a whole other level. That I don't understand. Playing a hockey game, when I say wanting to beat them, being hard on them in the corners and stuff like that, that's no problem. But
you're not going to open ice paths, right? He's coming down the middle.
Correct.
Okay.
I was being more specific on like being hard on them and like competing. But yeah, like in a fight, like I'm not going to fight Pavs. I see no world where him and I fight unless I completely lose my marbles and I don't know where I am, and I'm just like, all of a sudden I'm in a fight with Pavs, right? So,
who would win a fight with you and Pav? Obviously, in golf you're not going to win, but
I am not winning in golf. But I'll beat the shit out of Pavs.
Hey, I've seen Pavs throw down.
I know.
I've seen Pavs throw.
I love him.
He's the best.
I love him, but
he's the fucking best. I think that's interesting because I think like there's all these friendships now across the NHL and they're developing, but I just wonder, like, right now the Sharks are, the Hawks are picking up, Anaheim's picking up, but what happens when we're in the playoffs in a couple of years against these teams? And it'll be interesting to see that play out.
Well, I can tell you
to play each
this.
Other in the NHL,
if you have the first round pick and they're both available, who are you picking?
Macklin.
Obviously.
Yeah, Macklin.
Yeah. Well, I said this. Here's a Macklin thing.
Bedard will see this because Bedard's a big fan. Bedard's a big fan of the podcast and he's a subscriber.
Yeah.
So, next time they play the Hawks, he's going to shove 5 goals in our net. But
well, we could do that too. I mean, Bedard may score more goals in end than Macklin. But
Macklin's he's and I don't watch Bedard, so I'm saying that with respect. I don't. Obviously, he's a good player. I don't watch his games, but right now, the way Celebrini, his work ethic to me is, I saw a play. It was like 5 seconds left in the period on the Seattle game, and he didn't fucking give up. He still went in for the forecheck. He didn't. It's awesome to watch, man.
He's the most untradeable player in the league. Like, any GM has Macklin, you're not getting rid of him because of age,
that's fair.
timeline. Like, that's a great measure of just what he means to a franchise. No GM, if they had him, is trading him. There's a case for even trading Connor McDavid with the right package. But you would not trade. I know. Hi, Kevin. Kevin, I saw that eyebrow raise.
Is Macklin coming back in that McDavid trade?
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly, right? You would do that, but you would never get rid of Macklin even for a Connor McDavid. And that's kind of the point. But there is a case where in the right package, I could see you getting rid of Connor in this next extension after this 2 years played out.
Which Connor are we talking about? A lot of Connors, Bedard or McDavid?
McDavid, yeah.
McJesus. Hell abusive.
It's just an age thing, so yeah.
Yeah, it's an age thing.
Kevin, I want to say hi and bye. I have to go grab my daughter from her friend's house, so I will watch later. Apparently you have great movie taste. You're a huge fan of The Human Centipede 3, I heard, versus 1, so I want to hear about that. I will watch the podcast later when it's all edited. So thank you for coming on. Unfortunately, I do have to say bye. I have to go take care of one of my daughters. So thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, and I'm hoping this has nothing. I don't think I ever asked a really offensive question of all the times you came through town here in Vancouver, and I was holding a mic in the media on the other side, so I won't take it personally, Dan.
I've only had problems with 2 people in 18 years, so I think that's a pretty good. Most of you guys are great, so thank you.
No one respects you. Still my favorite quote.
People. All right, so Kevin Woodley.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. We didn't ask him. He's gone now.
Yeah.
Damn it, Sheng.
Yeah. Covers the Canucks and goalies for NHL.com. We had him on last year. He also writes for InGoal Magazine. Follow Kevin at Kevin is in goal on Twitter. And the reason why we're having Kevin on is just like we had him on last year, talk all about Yaroslav Askarov. So anyway, welcome on the show once again, Kevin.
Yeah, nice to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. And I'm sorry to hop in early there. I was trying to figure out navigating Riverside, and yeah, so hopefully I didn't interrupt anything.
No, you didn't.
No, we had it all planned
need to
out.
work on having a waiting room. We don't have a waiting room, I think. Right?
You need a green room. Green room's key.
Yeah.
Green room is key. It is kind of fun though when you edit the podcast and people just kind of keep popping in and out. It's pretty fun. But
Right.
I also want to apologize, Kevin, because I forgot your name on the last podcast. I mentioned that I really wanted you on this podcast again to talk about Yaroslav Askarov because we had you last year, and I was like, the dude from InGoal Magazine. What's his name? So thank you for coming.
That's okay. Just
Well,
the
Kevin,
goalie idiot is
I
how my
remember your
friends
name.
refer to me.
Did you play?
I just want to
You would
start
have
you
remembered.
off with kind of just a general question about Yarrow. It's obviously been this season kind of a tale of two seasons for him. In October, he was arguably the worst starting goalie in NHL. And in November, he's arguably the best starting goalie in NHL. Actually, according to goals saved above expected, he is the best starting goalie in the month of November so far. So anyway, how have you seen the season for Askarov so far?
I mean, Tale of Two Halves describes it well. Did a little video work on the first half and the second half, and you're right. Like, his goals saved since November 1st is like almost 10, which is remarkable. That does rank first, and sort of when I look at the save percentage as well, like in terms of what the environment is on the season as a whole, he's just slightly above average. And his environment is right around league average, 889 expected. So it's not like they've been terrible defensively, right? Like I think a lot of people expected them to be bad defensively and lean heavily on goaltending. The numbers don't indicate that's the case. There are certainly some things under the hood in terms of certain types of chances where they're better than others. But honestly, since November 1st, the only goalie with a better adjusted save percentage than him, and it's in a much smaller sample, is Devin Cooley, who you remember in San Jose as well, up in Calgary. So a couple of starts up in Calgary. He's been really good too, but obviously not with near the same workload as Yaroslav has had in San Jose. And when I look at the film and when I look at the numbers, there are a couple of things that jump out. And one is screens. Traffic is never been harder in the National Hockey League. I talked to goalies all around the league, and that's the one thing they all agree on. Is it's not just the intensity and the amount of traffic, but it's the purposeful nature of it. Like, guys aren't just going to the net anymore, at least the good ones. I mean, there are some teams that do. They just go to the net and throw pucks to the net. But so many more are being so specific and purposeful in how they do it. I mean, going into specific lanes, knowing what goalies and defenses want to leave open for the guy between the pipes, what lane a flexing forward is supposed to be in, heading out to flank on a penalty kill, trying to make sure that they manipulate the goalie's eyes in a way that forces them to move around and behind screens just as shots are released. I mean, it doesn't matter. All these little nuances to how traffic is managed in the NHL, they've all been exceptionally difficult, gotten harder over the past couple of years. And when you talk to the veterans, they tell you that. And when you talk to the new goalies coming into the league, they agree. There's nothing like it in the American League to prepare them for it. And so that learning curve is very steep. We saw it here in Vancouver with our Shilovs, who has all the, kind of reminds me a little bit of Askarov in terms of having all the physical tools down low, the fast legs, the length, the athleticism. When he got into a playoff situation against Edmonton and they kind of figured out he hadn't learned to manage traffic, they went after it. It was 2 years ago. You guys probably wouldn't, obviously didn't cover the series or weren't paying attention to who cares what the Canucks were doing in the playoffs 2 years ago, let's be honest, right?
I mean, they're going to lose.
But like 4 games in, like the Oilers were like one traffic shot a game, 1.2. And then for the final 4 games of the series, or for 3 games in, and then for the final 4, they were like 5.5 a game. And they lit him up on it. And then he comes into the next season, he still hasn't figured it out. Calgary's the first opponent, and they just throw pucks from the net with traffic all day long. Chase him from the first. I think they chased him from the first start, and basically his whole season went downhill from there. Like, learning this takes time. And if I look at the first month of the season, Askarov is 4 on 24, which isn't bad. It's right around league expected. Since then, there's none on 20. Like, so he is managing traffic better in the last month than he did. And I don't know how much of that is.
What does that mean? Those numbers? What do those numbers mean?
Basically, on 24 screenshots, he gave up 4 goals in the first 3 weeks.
Okay, gotcha.
And since then, none on 20. And 4 on 24 is not even terrible because a lot of them were high quality, high danger screenshots.
Yeah.
But like that's a big one. So the fact you can see that growth in his game in terms of learning how to understand and manage traffic, being in the right lanes, playing, it's not just about the forwards, it's about playing off your defenseman and the system in front of you. And he seems to be figuring that out pretty quickly. When I look at one of the few areas statistically where he is still somewhat underwater, even since November 1st, is just kind of open looks. Like open looks, slot area shots. And again, when I look at laterals, when I look at broken plays, like a lot of these numbers are really tipping positively in his favor. That's sort of the last one. And when I look at his stand, I think this is largely about just sort of learning when to be in what position. And I don't just mean depth, I mean in terms of your stance. And I think they've done a nice job. From what I can see, it looks like they're trying to get him to be a little narrower, to not sort of keep his feet under him. We know how good he is along the ice, right? Like we know that once he goes to his knees, he is up there with the elite in the league. This is all from before draft year. His ability to move from his knees is exceptional. But the game has reached a point where no matter how good you are at it, the goal is still not to be there as early or as often as you used to be able to get away with. Like teams are trying to get you to your knees and then move the puck. And so one of the solutions, one of the ways that goalie coaches around the league are trying to help their goalies hold edges longer is to sort of keep their feet underneath them, a little narrower in the stance. And you can see at times, I think, and again, I'd love to have this discussion with him because it is hard for me to look at my couch and watch this video and be like, this is what I think I'm seeing. Until you talk to the goalie, you don't know. That's why we started pro reads at InGoal Magazine, because we got tired of the internet warriors being like, he should have done this, he should have done that. So we wanted to go to NHL goalies and say, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? What were you reading? And so I should be careful here. I don't want to pretend like I'm speaking for him. But what it looks like from the outside is a goalie getting comfortable with when to be in what stance and getting comfortable with having his feet a little narrower, a little more underneath him. Because as soon as you get wide, and he's got an exceptionally wide butterfly, and to be honest, guys, he moves so well out of it, like it kind of makes me jealous. Like I'm gonna be honest, as an aging beer league goalie with bad hips, it kills me to watch that. I'm super jealous. But too wide, too low, too soon is a very real thing in today's NHL that a lot of goalie coaches will preach. Doesn't matter how good you are, and he's nth degree good when he gets to his knees. If you're there too early in today's game, you are creating exposure in your own game. And so that, from the outside, from the 30,000-foot view, watching highlights, going through different types of saves and different types of goals and watching the corresponding video, that's what I see. You know, like I said, easy from my couch, but that's what I see from a distance. And it looks like that process is paying off. And it looks like he's just getting more comfortable with it. The skill package has never been denied. Like, nobody's ever denied the skill. The rebound numbers have improved as well. And I'm just looking down, this is probably bad. I'm not looking up at you guys, but I need to get one of those teleprompter things. So I got to look down to look at my computer. I apologize. Rebound numbers, again, since the first 3 weeks of the season, 4 goals. Since then, only 1. And when I break it down into the types, we've only got 2 weak mid-percentage rebound chances since November 1st. Like he's only, and part of this can be team, because a goalie can give up a weak rebound, but if the team is there to cover the back door and make sure there's no ensuing shot, then you're bailed out. But in terms of shots off rebounds, off weak rebounds, again, since November 1st, he's not giving them up. Like he's controlling more play, and this was always one of the questions I had with him. Didn't activate the hands, and that included blocker and stick. Tendency to kick a lot of pucks off the pads early in his career, even before he was drafted, and those inevitably end up back in play. Your defensemen are turned towards you. They have to turn and find that puck. Like, it's a tough way for everyone to play when you're kicking pucks back out into the middle of the ice, rather than, even if you give up a rebound, control it, same side, keep it in front of you, ideally into a corner, perfect world, off the stick, off the glass, into the stands, and take a whistle. I see, at least statistically, more pucks controlled, especially over the last 3 weeks compared to the first 3.
So, Kevin, I have one question on I was live for the Minnesota game and on the glass and watching Askey really close, and I saw some of the best play with the puck I've seen from him all season. Every dump in, he was behind the net, stopping it, making passes. There was a couple of giveaways, but he was back in place for them. They didn't cost us. What are your thoughts on him playing the puck? And what have you seen from him there? Have you seen improvement with him playing the puck? It looks more like Mike Smith out there lately.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you, and this is one thing that you guys will hear from me. When I looked at chances, I didn't look at handles. So it's not something that comes up automatically in the feed when I'm analyzing saves and goals through clear sight, unless he does make a mistake and then it becomes a goalie error and ends up on here. So good handles and handle percentages are not something I look at easily, but I would say trusting what you're seeing, obviously, and overarching sort of themes of goaltending, the fact he hasn't stopped going out to get it, even after a couple of mistakes. I know one was a near miss, one was a spectacular sort of poke check recovery.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good thing. And Mike Smith would be the first one to tell you, because Mike Smith was the first one to hear from Marty Turco. Early in Mike Smith's career in Dallas, when he learned this all from Marty Turco, who invented the Turco grip. Every time you see a goalie turn his hand over the bottom hand glove, sort of over top of the stick, that comes from Marty Turco at Michigan. He invented that. And he was one of the true pioneers of handling the puck at a level we see now. And Mike went out early in the game to handle it, made a mistake, and stopped going out. And when he came to the bench in the next TV timeout, Turco was like, "What the hell are you doing? Don't stop." and it's, this is the funny thing. And this is maybe a lesson here for any minor hockey goalie coaches that are listening. Because at every level, coaches want a goalie that can handle the puck like Yaroslav Askarov is capable of. Yeah. But if every time they make a mistake trying to do it, you neuter them by telling them to stop, they're never going to develop the skill. And so the fact that he's going back out there is important. I wish we still had Dan Boyle on, because I'm willing to bet that he would agree with me when I say the defensemen want him out there stopping. Puck handling it's not like we think of Mike Smith and the break, the big stretch passes from your goalie. I think of it more in terms of Carey Price. Yes, it's great to be able to do that, but what made Carey so great at it was he got out and stopped everything and made short, simple passes that, A, prevented his defenseman from having to gather a puck at speed and pick it off the wall going the other way and worry about getting pasted as they do it, allow them to find a corner, all part of the system, like Yaroslav's got it. If he's not going to just leave it for me to wheel into, he's going to make a play. Where do I go for that? And now we're out and we're going the other way. And again, don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but my guess would be Dan would be like most defensemen. They want a goalie who's going to, if nothing else, get out there and stop the puck.
Well, yeah, that actually reminds me of a story. I don't know if I've told this one before, but I was talking with Mackenzie Blackwood about Yaroslav Askarov's puck handling. I'm like, he's really good at it, huh? And Mackenzie was like, yeah, he is. But Mackenzie said, just joking, he's like, I could be pretty that good at it too, but I'm just afraid to do it.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
We can't see you. Oh, you're back.
That's weird. Okay, so I apologize. Also, I noticed that it's been moving. I've got a new system here. It's designed to make me look better than just the old FaceTime camera. We're trying something new here at InGoal. I apologize that you guys are the guinea pigs, but I know it's moving. The Zoom is moving in and out, so I'm trying to stay still, and I apologize. I don't know what happened there. We're learning.
Today you are not the guinea pig, because, fun fact, Keegan has a guinea pig right behind him.
In this room.
Just found that out today.
There we go. There we go. So I apologize. Well, I was so distracted trying to fix the camera. What was the question?
Yeah, that's the guinea pig.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Well, that's okay. No. Well, my question actually is, you mentioned that with Yarrow that he is just kind of finding pucks better now. And so how does a goalie, how can you see that from your vantage point that a goalie is finding that puck better through traffic? What's the goalie doing? What can a average fan look to see that, okay, the goalie is doing a better job of that particular area?
Well, simple terms, is he creating sight lines for himself? Can he see it? If other teams aren't doing a good enough job, he doesn't have to move. He's just seeing it. Great for him. But the reality is most time you have to find lanes. And so a lot of guys, when there's bodies in front, and there are times today where there are so many bodies in front, there's just nothing you can do about it. But does he just retreat and back up to his goal line? Or is he looking for a new sight line? Is he picking the right time to stay short side, which is what most looks are? And if that screen decides to flash or move you and try and push you out of your net on the short side, is he choosing the right moment to switch sides back over to the other side, to the middle, in terms of, okay, if I keep following this guy through the short side, he's going to pull me out of the net. Now's the time. Like, I'm in a non-dangerous moment. The puck's not being shot. Now I'm going to switch sides and get over his inside shoulder and change the lane that I'm in. Is he staying flat-footed, or is he engaged in his edges and moving around behind screens? Joseph Wall, who's really good at talk to us about sort of like having two parts of your body, like the upper body and the lower body, and having the lower body set and controlled and into your edges and holding and ready to sort of pounce, ready to shift, ready to move, but maintaining activeness with your upper body in terms of that being the part you find sight lines with. Sometimes you got to move both. Is he managing a tall, narrow stance? Askarov is tall enough to look over a lot of traffic, to certainly get himself here and look around guys' heads from a tall stance. A lot of guys feel vulnerable in that. That's part of the process. Knowing that depending on where the puck is and who's got it, I have time to get out of that high stance and still get to the ice. I'm still safe. A lot of guys will panic. They'll feel vulnerable in a high stance and they'll get into a mid stance. And now you've got to look around a hip or try and find a puck around, usually a defenseman with a forward. You got to find it around multiple sets of hips as opposed to being up and tall. And again, like even like, say I'm a screening goalie and where my hand is right here, I'm looking over in this lane. Like, we don't want to be right by the ear. We want to be off the shoulder. Like, that's where I want my nose to be as a goaltender. Because now, or even the outside of my left ear, looking on this lane, because now as I drop, I can maintain vision on this side. Whereas if my head's right here and I drop, I'm dropping into the torso and losing it of the screening forward. So it's little things like that. It's a million little things that all have to be learned and then acted upon in a split second instinctually. And again, that usually takes time. And this is still a learning process, I imagine, for him. Results, though, appear like the results are there. And it looks like there's less panic behind traffic. Not that there was pure panic before, but he's just doing a good job right now of managing all those factors and finding a way to see the puck.
For yourself, when you're watching this kind of stuff, do you watch the goalie a lot even when the puck's not coming toward the goalie? You're just watching the goalie as the plays around the perimeter, and you're just watching his head, and you're watching his movements. And that's a lot of the giveaways, or the kind of the way that you can evaluate if the goalie is kind of seeing the puck through traffic, like even without the puck coming at him, but just
honestly, like usually, I can't remember who I learned this from years ago, but like usually when a puck goes in, when a goal goes in, it's not the shot you're looking for. It's usually one or two plays or passes or moments before that where the goalie's made a mistake and put himself behind the play, or made a decision on depth that's not allowed him to recover on that next pass, or has put him in either too passive or too aggressive a position. Like, it's usually rewinding on a goal where you find out where the mistake, if there was one, because sometimes you just got to tip your hat, but if there is one, you usually find it by rewinding it. Do I watch through that lens? I would like to, but the NHL, quite often the puck goes to the point and the goalie disappears from my screen. If they would just put a net behind, like a camera behind the net, well, I know they have one. If that was an option for me to view every game through that lens, one side and then the other as it went up and down the ice, my life would be so much easier, and so would a lot of goalie staff. Yeah, in short terms, yes, you want to watch the way the goalie moves. That's why I like watching live above all else. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I didn't, because he didn't play, but I almost went down to Seattle last night. If I hadn't had some family things keeping me here, I thought, hey, I'm on with these guys today. It's only 2.5 hours down there, and I'd really like to watch them play, but family stuff kept me away. And a trip to Portland tomorrow morning also kept me away. So, it's... there's no perfect way to watch it, especially on TV. Like, it's frustrating how often puck will go back to the point and we lose what the goalie's doing, and that's where the battle is actually happening on the play. Like, and it's not just the battle for screening position in front; it's the battle for sight lines. And like I said, what are the Sharks doing systems-wise? Are they all on the same page? I remember having that conversation with Robin Lehner when he was in New York. He's like, it's not about what the opponents are doing; it's about what they're doing and what my defensemen are doing. and being on the same page and knowing that I can trust them, so that if this is the lane I'm supposed to see through, I know I can stay in that lane. And I'm not going to have a defenseman back into it or a forward flex out into the lane and be in the wrong lane, and now I've got to move and guess and switch, or that forward is flexing out in the wrong lane but not blocking a shot, and now you're creating a layered screen. And the reality is, if a defenseman picks the corner from outside, what most people think a low danger shot, like if they pick the corner on either side through a layered screen, more than one sightline disruption between the shooter and the goaltender, those go in more than a breakaway in the National Hockey League. They're 40+% chance. So sometimes it's just the way it is. But the better you can all be on the same page to allow your goalie to pick the right line, to pick the sight line, to hold the sight line, or at least know, hey, if I switch, it's because a forward's doing something, not my own guy taking away my own eyes. It just makes life so much simpler. And the game's so dynamic. There's no... My camera cut off again. There's no such thing as predictability, but the more predictable we can make it, the better chance the goalie has.
I had a quick question. You mentioned earlier on in the season, and still now, it seems like he's kind of getting beat on those clean looks up high, or it appears as so. Are the Sharks limiting those chances more in the month of November, or is Askarov changing his stance? Like, is he not going down as quickly? Is that what you're seeing?
So 5 on 24 total. I just want to make sure I've got the right numbers in front of me, and there's a lot of numbers in my head right now, and it's a pretty scary place most of the time anyways. I've taken too many pucks off the noggin. 5 on 24 for the season on sort of slot area looks, and it's funny because a lot of times we think of slot area shots as being dangerous, but if they don't have other elements to them, historically around the league, they're low to mid danger chances, right? So his numbers are underwater. That's a couple more than he should have given up. Not the end of the world. I have seen in a couple of the goals I watched just that tendency to get a little low and wide rather than trust the patience in the feet and keep them underneath you. And what happens when you get low and wide, obviously you give up upstairs coverage, but it's also that locked in sensation. You get a little sort of locked into your edges, and now your tendency off a release is to have everything pulled back, and now you're trying to catch pucks back here rather than when you're narrow and over top of it, you're able to sort of reach out and catch pucks out in front of you. Because I don't know how much you guys have been exposed to the concepts of box control, simply put, like it's simple. Like take fishing lines, tie them to the post, and top corners out to the puck. And obviously, just common sense geometry tells you the further out you are, it's cutting down the angle essentially. The further out you are, the smaller that box is. And so understanding that if I'm trying to make a save back here, I've opened up the box. If I make that same save down here, I'm making a save in a much smaller box. In other words, Connor Hellebuck would label it, and he used to use small nets when he was a kid out in front of him to learn this. Play the small net in front of you, not the big net behind you. And I'm not saying he's not. I just think sometimes when he gets a little locked in low and wide, it can create mechanics that naturally have you playing a bigger net behind you because you're trying to make saves sort of back along the plane of your body rather than cutting pucks off.
And, I talked with Thomas Beers in the offseason briefly, and Sharks goalie coach, and I asked him about Blackwood's evolution with the Sharks. And I just was like, hey, I've seen him, similarly stay really low and now get upright and see. And again, I was like, he's looking a lot better. And I was like, that goes credit to you. This is right after he won gold too. So I was like, congratulating him on that. Then asked him that question. I was like, what about Askarov? And he said the same thing. Like, hey, that's something we need to work on. And I've seen that evolution, to your point, Kevin, over this season where he is now standing up and he catches himself fighting low. And I'm just even playing hockey, not goalie, but when you're locked in with good shin angle, like even as a skater, you don't want to leave that position when you're in it. It's hard to step up and get out of it, but you're right. I see that evolution in him slowly over the games this season where he is more upright in screens.
Yeah, no, and like I said, this is not a snap your fingers process for him. Like, it's not easy. You probably saw it take a little time with McKenzie too.
Yeah.
When McKenzie got traded to Colorado, like I talked to him a little bit about the evolution, and that's what he said. Like for him, because it'd be tough. You go to a new goalie coach, right? And I think him and Thomas built a really good relationship. He's like, all I really want to focus on right now is like where are my feet? Is my stance, my width? Am I getting too wide? Like that becomes almost foundational for him. And every goalie's different, and there's no right way to do this. But in general terms around the league, as it becomes so east-west and so dynamic, the reality is the lower and wider you are in your stance, the harder it is to move. Even for someone as gifted as Yaroslav Askarov. Like, it's just harder to move. You think about it, as soon as your feet are outside of your hips, like your edges are digging in more, all your weight's transitioning down and forward. And just think about it, like I almost got to stand back and demo it. But if you think about it, you get your edges locked in, and now I want to move to my left. Well, in order to move to my left, I need to disengage my left skate and push with my right. If I am wide and low, the act of disengaging my left skate requires a lot more sort of pulling back to get it underneath me again. And at the same time, the push, the power I have in my right skate to move left is diminished because I'm already extended. I don't have much more range of motion. Whereas if we keep our feet underneath us, we've got way more access to explosive power in that right push edge. And it's so easy to disengage that left edge in terms of whether it's to do a T-push, so you have to open it, or, and we're seeing way more of this around the league, just make a shuffle. Like, especially if you can get comfortable in a shuffle, now you're not having to open that lead leg, and if the puck changes direction before you get to your next spot, you got to close it, stop, set, and go the other way. In a shuffle, we're maintaining sort of edges up ice. We can stop in that shuffle. If I'm shuffling over and all of a sudden the play goes to my right, it's just bang, stop, go. As opposed to T-push, stop, like big heel stop, set, and now go the other way. So it helps to reduce delays in movement. The challenge is, especially for a taller goalie, you get caught in that upright, narrow stance. You can really feel, I really don't know. The hard part for a taller goalie is you can feel really vulnerable. And it can take a while to get confident that, hey, on open looks, I can make reactive saves from a narrower stance. I don't need to be low and wide. Because for a lot of guys, you can grow up your whole life feeling like low and wide is active. Like you're engaged, like you're like a spring coil up ready to react. It's a lot different sensation. And sometimes that's to me what's most impressive is we're like 2 months into the season, and he's facing shots that are more difficult than he's ever seen. This is the best league in the world. And he seems to be getting, like I said, I'm not sure, but it looks to me like that process is playing out in real time and in a positive manner for Yaroslav right now. Yeah, and listen, like there's some people in the hockey world that weren't convinced. Everyone loved the talent. They weren't convinced it would translate for a lot of different reasons. The rebounds, the active hands, it's translating, right? And he's also showing, I think when you look at the adjustments he's making, you know, that he's not a guy that's coming into this league and saying, hey, there are guys, I'm not going to name, there are guys that come from Russia with success and say, this is how I played there, this is how I'm playing here. There are guys that come from the American League that have had success and say, this is how it worked there. I don't need to change anything. And so this young man, despite all the skill, despite being told he has all this skill and talent, despite being the draft pick he was, appears to be willing to listen and learn and try new things and adapt his game. And that doesn't just bode well for him getting his feet underneath him and having that traction in the league early on, because there's going to be dips. Inevitably, there will be ups and downs. Teams are going to start pre-scouting him heavier. They will find little things that they can attack. But I think it bodes well long-term, because the guys that have the brilliant, like, forever careers, the Luongos, the Fleuries, they always evolve. Like, they never stop evolving, because the way the game is played in front of them never stops evolving, especially right now, the way teams attack. Low and wide, locked in, would have worked 5 years ago. It doesn't anymore. And so to see him make those changes in his stance and his mechanics and get comfortable with it this quick, I don't want to overstate it. This isn't – they're dramatic, and yet they're probably subtle at the same time. But they're a lot harder than I think people recognize, especially for a goalie with his unique skill set.
How impressed are you then by just the sort of the adjustment so kind of quickly in season, like such a disastrous start, and just to kind of turn it around like that? I mean, that's just not a usual. This isn't like, okay, he started off slow and he just built throughout the season, and by the end of the season he found his game. No, this is like, again, nightmare October, and right now at least a brilliant November. And so,
well, that's where I'd want to have conversations, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, it looks to me from the outside like he's evolving and like, listen, like, let's not, I don't want this to sound like he had to make all these huge drastic changes. He had no chance of succeeding otherwise. Like that, like this is a young man who has a lot of talent, right? Like,
yeah.
So we don't want to paint that picture either. And sometimes, I can get carried away and it'll sound like hyperbole and like this, there was no talent then. It's been saved by this magical change. And that's not the case. It's all subtle. We're looking for 1 or 2% a lot of the time on these things. So I don't know what the conversations were like behind the scenes. Like, I don't know if there was an element early on of try it your way, and then when it doesn't work, we're going to do it my way. Or if he was buying in the whole time, and then you had to just get him to be patient and trust that it will work. Again, I think it's important to have a goalie coach with enough experience to be able to have those conversations in a way that encourage positive growth, that you don't lose the athlete when it's not working. But I'm again, I didn't have a chance to check in with Thomas before we came on the air. I don't know what those conversations were like. At the end of the day, between the two of them, it looks like they're continuing to build, and they've gotten to a really strong point. And I think that's a positive because, I'm biased on the goalie union. I'm always going to be biased towards the goalie people, but I think Thomas Spear's a hell of a coach, and I've thought that since he was in Calgary's minor league organization. So I'm not surprised, but it's not just about technical and tactical. It's about managing the athlete. And I don't know Yaroslav well enough to know, how he would have reacted to these changes, in video sessions, what those sessions look like to get him through, again, what is a subtle but I believe important part of this evolution.
And obviously he's not going to keep up he has a .965 save percentage in November. He's not going to keep that up, but just how much of what you're seeing, though, does appear that it's sustainable, that maybe he has turned some kind of corner? And obviously there will be ups and downs, too, like you said, that it's not going to be just, smooth sailing from here, but that a lot of it does seem like this is him now.
His adjusted save percentage for November is plus 6.1. Like, the best in the league finish at +2, +2.25. +3 gets you a Hart Trophy, frankly, or should have gotten Shesterkin a Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
Hellebuck wasn't at +3 last year, right?
Yeah.
So +6 isn't sustainable.
Yeah,
Because
of course, yeah.
if you do this over the course of a season, we put you on goalie Mount Rushmore next to Hasek, Brodeur, that's how good this is. So you have to be cognizant of that. And hey, listen, let's not lose. I know that he had to leave the team for a little bit, and I don't know if I didn't have a chance to watch last night's game, but the other thing since November 1st, so some of this probably goes credit to the environment too, because his expected save percentage since November 1st is .900, which is well above league average, 14 points above league average. Alex Nedeljkovic's expected save percentage, and I know it's just a handful of starts, since November 1st is .889, which is still above league average. They were both well below up until November 1st. So the structure in front of them appears to have improved as well. Alex Nedeljkovic's adjusted save percentage since November 1st is also top 10 in the National Hockey League. Harder to see because it's a bit of a tougher environment. His floor is lower than what Yaro's has been in terms of environment in that small, and I shouldn't even say small, tiny sample since November 1st. We're not even half a month. But he's producing at a top 10 level. I know Ned pretty well. He thinks the game really well. He expresses the game from a goaltending perspective really well. Don't know what, and again, you guys are in the room, so you tell me what the dynamic is like. But if I was looking for guys to help a young goalie and be a mentor while still playing at a really high level, and I know it hasn't been the start that he wanted overall, despite these numbers since November 1st, but Ned was the Penguins' best goalie statistically last year. And so to have a guy that is able to play at that level, handles the puck as well as Ned does, and can help with those lessons as a mentor guys around the league talk about the importance of having that guy. It doesn't always have to be a future Hall of Famer. We've lost so many of the Luongos and all that type in the last 10 years to retirement. There aren't that many left. But I think he's perfect for this, and so don't discount the role that he can play, along with Thomas Spear and sort of helping this along. Well, still, again, tiny sample here, but top 10 adjusted save percentage since November 1st and the starts he has gotten.
I did want to ask you about Ned a little bit, and I didn't know that you guys knew each other, but when the Sharks made that trade, it seemed like they gave up a lot for a guy who, not the greatest save percentage. Of course, that's not all on him. He wasn't on the strongest of teams. But you look at it on the surface, some people are like, oh, why are you giving a third-round pick for this guy? But from what I heard about Ned when they acquired him, perfect room guy, always positive, a guy that can can be a backseat guy to Yaro if Yaro's playing well, but is also capable of taking over for a stretch too, which is what I think a guy like Yaro needed. And I thought that it was a great trade, even back then. And it made me think of, I thought that Askarov and Blackwood got along great. And that was the one kind of, about that trade that I didn't really like. I understood that it was going to be Askarov's net, and you wouldn't want Blackwood to be kind of sitting there as a backup, 3-4 years. He wouldn't want that either. McKenzie wouldn't want that either. And so, but though they had a great relationship. And so it's great to hear that, and that is what I've seen too, that they have a good relationship, that they're pulling for each other, and I think that's really, really important for a young goalie.
Yeah, and I mean Ned last season, I'm just pulled up the numbers for last season. I just think the environment in Pittsburgh was so bad. Like his expected was 14 points below the league average, so that's how tough his defensive environment was. And his adjusted save percentage, if you filter it out, sort of get rid of the guys that only played a handful of games, and let's say minimum 200 chances, nothing like scrolling through a database live on radio here, but just filter out for the guys that just played a handful of games. And Ned's adjusted save percentage was top 20 in the National Hockey League last year.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think a lot of people like, you just can't look at raw numbers anymore. It's apples to oranges, even on the same team. Like, Edmonton became the example for this last year. Calvin Pickard had an expected save percentage of .904. It was the second highest in the entire National Hockey League. And Stuart Skinner's was like .888, which is right around league average. I mean, it's a 16-point swing between goalies on the same team. So I always see people say, they're on the same team, you can compare them. Not necessarily, depending on who you start against. And in Cal's case, I just think a guy that works so damn hard in practice and teammates just will battle to the nth degree for him last year, and that showed up in his numbers, combined with maybe picking some of their starts. This year, he's got the lowest expected save percentage in the league at .860, and we're seeing what the results are, right? So, never judge by the raw numbers. I know, it's easy for me to say because I can look under the hood at Clearsight Analytics and pull this stuff up, but Ned was a lot better last season than I think people realized or gave credit for. And so I'm not surprised. Again, I know it's been a tough start there, and it sure feels like since November 1st, maybe the team play defensively has picked up, and both goalies' numbers are better for it.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Clearsight Analytics. They do a great job, and it is a reminder that kind of what is most publicly available for myself and Zubair and Keegan, we have goals saved above expected, which is a good stat. It's better than save percentage, but that is, again, we don't see what you see with Clearsight and Nedeljkovic, because with what we see publicly, Nedeljkovic's numbers are not strong, weren't strong last year, but you have a little more kind of depth into that. So I just want to remind everybody that what we have, goal save expected, better than just save percentage or obviously GAA, but still limited in a way. One more question I wanted to ask you, Kevin. Is your time okay? I don't want to take too much of your time.
Couple more minutes, boys. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially because I keep cutting in and out.
You got to give us back a couple minutes there, I guess, huh? Askarov has credited kind of when I asked him, and he doesn't want to get too much into the technical, but he's mentioned just for himself mentally that he's done some breath work recently. He's even taken to listening to classical music, and that's kind of helped him relax. And so, how big of important is that for a goalie to kind of find the things that maybe work for him to kind of help him focus and relax?
Let's see.
Okay,
So,
another one.
The great question to ask a goalie like Kevin. What do you do to not be weird? And then he gets weird and disappears.
Goalies are weird.
Classic goalie here.
Yeah, he's gone. He's going to have to rejoin. There we go.
There you go.
That one me. That was
Classic goalie move. Classic goalie move.
That was
That's a beer league attendee right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's ask the crazy goalie what it's like to be a crazy goalie. Eh?
Yep, exactly.
He just leaves.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm out. Why do I keep passing out? Honestly, again, like if that's new to him, it surprises me a little bit.
I didn't say it was new. I just think I just asked him, well, sort of difference between November and October, and that's what he kind of went with. So I would take that as maybe he's doing it more, or maybe he's doing it more on like a regulated daily basis as opposed to maybe not as often before. I'm not sure. So
yeah, listen, like there are mental experts for goaltending. We work with a bunch of them. Breath work is certainly one of the things. Like if you're in a low shot game, you can use breath work to raise your intensity. And we talk about how low shot games are different. There's different types of breathing to calm you in high stress environments or actually get you up if you're worried about being a little too subdued. There's all kinds of different techniques. There's different sort of focus techniques that different goalies use. And quite often, like I think a lot of this stuff is introduced to goalies, at least now at a young age. And I don't know what he was exposed to overseas and what he wasn't. And sometimes it can just be the tools are always there, and you just access them at different points of your career. And there might be different points in your career where the tool makes sense or is more needed, and you find it, and sometimes it's an actual real thing, and sometimes it's just a placebo. It makes you feel good. And it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. If it's there are things out there that goalies get taught that I swear I'm like, is this really helping? Who cares? It's white gear, dark gear. Some goalies, I won't wear certain colors of gear. If in your own head you think it makes you better, that's all that matters. But breathwork is very much a real thing that can help you regulate emotion, can help you regulate heart rate, can help create calmness or create sort of a more invigorated state. We've got a bunch of different people that sort of teach you how to manage breathwork and all the different things. And so good. Again, another example of a guy who is not just coming through the end of October and being like, I don't know what's going on. Let me find a tool, let me access a tool that's going to help me sort of become a part of my stable, become a part of my foundation, something I can refer to at whatever moment I need to refer to it to help sort of steady me in the crease. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't look in between their ears. We see what they do between the pipes technically and tactically, and you can never look and sort of see the mental makeup, but you get clues along the way. And again, the growth mindset that he has, I think, is encouraging in all aspects.
I got two quick questions unrelated to ASCII, but just goaltenders and goaltending in general. Okay. First one, so actually, my cousin has 4 boys, and 3 of them are goalies. And yeah, I know. And they actually were, in youth hockey, and Georgie Catalona is one of their coaches, also youth hockey coach to Demko. So just wondering about Demko, you're there. Like, is he, when healthy, the best goalie for the Nucks? And is the health thing a concern? Do you expect him back? And what are your thoughts on Demko?
Yeah, you feel bad. Forget best goalie for the Canucks. And although Kevin Lankinen been great, especially since Thatcher went down early last season, like he's one of the best goalies in the league, and I've got numbers to back it up. When he's healthy, he's in that top 5 on a consistent basis, and at his best, when he's really rolling for like a month at a time, honestly, he might be the best goalie in the league. I mean, everybody goes through ups and downs, but he's had stretches, where you can make an argument that he should have been America's goalie at the Olympics. Wow. But one of the greatest abilities for a goalie is availability, right? It's a cliche now, but it's for a reason. And that's been a tough thing for him. I don't know when he'll be back. It's apparently, they're calling it lower body. Evidently, it's a groin. He missed some time the weekend before he was ultimately injured with another lower body thing that just sort of flared up, and they were being precautious. The injury he sustained 2 years ago is such an unprecedented, unpredictable injury that you can't help but wonder if that's part of the issue going forward in terms of actually having a solution to manage that long term. And at the end of the day, you feel terrible because I've seen and heard how hard he works to keep coming back. And if you've ever been around a professional athlete that runs into a run of injury luck, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard to keep that focus and motivation and keep going back to that grind when you ultimately just end up back in the gym again, a short period of time later. And this is, he had both hips done when he was in college or coming out of college. He's had surgeries on both knees since then while with the Canucks. And that's outside of the injury in the playoffs 2 years ago that didn't require surgery. You just wonder, like, it's all a chain. The lower body for him has been a problem. And honestly, he could be back in 2 weeks and he could play the rest of the season. And I hope for his sake and for Vancouver's sake, and maybe even for the U.S. Olympic team, although it feels to me like the unpredictability would be too much for them to take a guy all the way to Italy. Yeah. But, like, you hope for all those sakes that he is back. And we may forget about this a year from now because he's had a couple straight years of health. But we're now 5 years into his career as a number one, and he's yet to make it to the end of any of those seasons without a significant injury.
No, thanks for that, and we're rooting for him. That is really hard to come back time and time again after consistently being hurt.
It beats you up mentally, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other one was there was this great I just want to talk about Wedgwood a little bit because Scott Wedgwood had this great clip in NHL postgame with TNT where he talks about memorizing every player's shooting hand so he knows the lanes and the angles of every player when they're entering the zone. Is that, like, common? Is that, like, a Wedgwood thing? Is, like, how psycho is that? Yeah.
You guys are setting me up for a shameless plug here. We had an article on that just a few weeks earlier. I did one on NHL.com lets me run a goalie column every 2 weeks called Unmasked, and we touched on it there, and then we dug into it even deeper. Like, basically, obviously, NHL.com, I don't get to publish 2,500 words, but if you know me, you know I could probably do 2,500 words on most subjects. So we do an extended version with the full interviews that were done for that story over at InGoal the following week, where we just sort of flush it out even more. Wow. The short answer is this kind of became a hot topic when Sam Montembeault, he was on an RDS French language podcast, and they were naming names of players, and he's like, right shot, black tape, left shot, white tape, like he knew them all. And when I saw that, it sort of became like a party trick thing, and people were like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And at InGoal, we do pro reads where we sit down and break down video with a goalie, and they walk us through their save selection and why they chose a certain depth, why they chose a certain save, why they loaded a skate, anticipating what allowed them to know what was coming next. And a lot of the information is handedness. Handedness is massive. Because if it's a right shot on the left side receiving a pass, that's a one-timer. So I might need to slide across on my knees because I can't beat that play on my feet and get set. And if he shoots it low, I've got the ice taken away as I'm moving. If that's a left shot over there, two things change. One, I've got more time because it's a really hard play to one-time across your body. So I've probably got time to beat that on my skates. Two, the puck has to travel further. Obviously, a one-timer is going to cut it off shorter on its route, whereas the left shot, it's got to come all the way across his body before he catches it. So A, I've got more time, and B, I have to go further. My destination, where I'm pushing to, changes. And so that's just one example of hundreds of why you need to know the handedness of everybody else on the ice, and why I think, and this is one thing I wish I want to watch next time I watch Askarov. You guys can watch this for me. How often does he look off the puck? Like, if the puck's in the corner, non-dead area, is he scanning the zone? Quick head turn, scan the zone. Find out all that information. Because when I started asking around the league, so when Montembeault did that, my first thought was every goalie in the league does this. This is not a secret. But then I started asking, and certainly as guys come over the boards, like Wedgwood talked about, you try and pick up that information because, as I just described, it's so important. But secondly, the second part of this is that young guys don't often know it right away. Like Jakub Dobish, Sam Montembeault's playing partner, he knows certain things, but he hasn't picked up everything. And Jonathan Quick told me he couldn't even tell, like, the guys on his team, and that shocked me. Different guys rely on different pieces and different parts of information. There are other guys that, to them, being able to look at the blade and know who it is by the tape job and by the handedness because they know that some guys push to shoot, some guys pull to shoot, some guys are going to pass. And so that split second of not having to figure out who it is can be the difference between making a save or holding your edges for a pass, or knowing what's coming in terms of, is he going to pull it? Because if you think about it, guys with big wingspans, man, like they catch it and pull it into their feet. Yeah. It's like a 3-foot angle change on the fly. So knowing that that's his shooting tendency, as soon as you see his stick advantage. And I think more often than not around the league, guys have that ability. And we outline all that in the story at InGoal.
Okay.
Awesome.
NHL.com.
Thank you. That's super. Yeah, super
it's a perfect plug,
informative
honestly. Not shameless at all.
Shameless.
Hey, I did my research. I knew it. I was
appreciate
teed
it.
up.
I like that. Well, I got to be honest, when we saw Wedgwood talking about it, and he's so good at that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We wondered if that was where because that story became kind of hot, and the NHL.com one in particular, and we wonder if that sort of became a source for that's a question I don't think other people were asking. Frankly, because I assumed all goalies did it, I had stopped asking it. And the Montembeault stuff with RDS actually sparked me to be like, hey, maybe I need to ask a few guys this question and turn this into a story. So, sometimes it's forest for the trees, get us our best stories. I think one of the most popular stories I ever wrote at NHL.com in Unmasked was the idea of burning rubber, and that, you get hit in the mask as a goalie. If it's got enough of the right type of spin on it, it feels like you were in a parking lot in the 70s and you're backseat of your buddy's Camaro doing burnouts. Like it's just like fills your nose with this burning rubber smell. And I always had it sort of cast aside as something I always knew as a goalie. And like, one day when I'm short a column, I'm just going to pull this out. I'd had a few quotes on it, and it just went crazy because people that didn't play goal, of course, didn't even know that was a thing, that's something that we live with as goalies on a regular basis. So sometimes those are the best stories, the ones that you assume everybody knows, and then you find out, no, they didn't.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's great.
Well, hopefully your cousins, as they get older, or your nephews, don't learn it the hard way, because it's sometimes it's harmless and it's just a little like smelling salt. Sometimes it comes with the old bell being rung and a little bit of wooziness after.
Oh, jeez, yeah. That's wild.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. Kevin Woodley, goalies for NHL.com, Unmasked for NHL.com. Also covers the Canucks for them. Also writes for InGoal Magazine. And once again, on Twitter, Kevin is in goal on Twitter. So thanks again, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Next
conversation. Let's stay in touch.
Bring your gear next time. We'll get you in net in our beer league.
Make sure your nephews are all subscribers to InGoal Magazine. We'll make them better.
Done. Yeah, absolutely. Give me a promo code. They got 3 of them.
Right.
It's expensive.
Need a family code for that one.
Yeah, we need a family code.
Three kids as goalies. You hit me up off the air. We might just help them out of sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Kevin.
See you guys.
Thank you, Kevin.
That was awesome. So much great learning about the position and such a great thing to talk about ASCII, because we needed that expertise.
I wish we could have done like Kevin or somebody, like as he was talking, we could see it happening on the screen, like what was going on.
I know.
That's post-production.
Green screen behind Kevin.
We'll do.
So you can act out.
We got quite a lot of editing on this one.
We need graphics, but it is cool because you can just listen to him for hours talk about all of the things that. It's demystifying a position that is very mystifying.
It is very mystifying, yes, yeah.
So it's just great to see he's recognized the change and has said, oh man, there's definitely something cooking there. And I really like that. The Askarov is, the Sharks kind of put themselves into a corner, right? They're like, Ned and Askarov are our guys, and no disrespect to Carrier and Skarek, but they're not ready to be even backups in the NHL. So they kind of put themselves into this corner, and they gave so much for Askarov that you have to keep playing him. But it's really good.
And Nedeljkovic too, yeah.
And Ned too, yeah.
Yeah.
But they had to keep playing him. There's not really another option. But it's good that he's responded to that kind of confidence with these amazing November stats. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and even in the average of them, right? If that's his standard, he's looking great.
Yeah,
so
right.
Right.
If he was just a regular.
If you just average it out, like a regression of the mean, he's kind of looking good.
Yeah. This is the effect of we had Mackenzie Blackwood playing at a high level. The Sharks, they look like a team. They look like a real competitive unit, as opposed to they can't even get it going because they let in 2 goals by the end of the first 5 minutes. So
But Kevin did make a good point, though, that even though the couple games I mentioned, the Florida game, the Minnesota game, that the defense, overall team defense didn't look as strong, but that doesn't take away from the beginning of the month, though, where the Sharks did look like they had kind of found a level of play that we hadn't seen in a long time. And we talk about the Seattle, the 6-1 win, the Winnipeg game, which Dan Boyle talked about as some of the best Sharks hockey that he's seen in a long time. And so I do think that's a part of it. So I want to give some credit to the overall team that even though they've struggled a little bit on this road trip, that the pieces are there for just a much better season. Going back to the original question, are they good? Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not.
I said this to some buddies in the locker room this week where I was like, even if the Sharks, and I don't think they're going to do that, but let's say they go back to the last 2 seasons and play like that for the rest of this year, this is still progress. Significant progress, I think, to a large degree.
I would disagree with that. You can't go backwards now that sharply.
Well, if you look at the whole season as a whole, well, yeah, I don't think they will.
You can't play your best hockey in November and pass out for the last 5 months and say that's not a good thing.
But here's where I do see progress. Macklin's better. And this is someone I wanted to talk about, so maybe we'll transition to Will Smith.
You want to talk about Macklin Celebrini? Really?
What? Of course. All day, every day.
Shocking. Shocking development at San Jose Hockey Now podcast. We want to talk about Macklin Celebrini.
No, you have, because look, you said this earlier, like a lot of the veterans, like we need, I think, better quality veteran help at some point, but
sure,
Askarov looks better. Will Smith looks better. Eklund looks better. Macklin looks better. Even if they're not winning as many games, a lot of the responsibility is not on these players anymore. And that's overall development of the team. And if I think that the Sharks have already done something in the last couple of weeks that we haven't seen in 5 years. So like that alone has given us a mark of like, and the fans can feel it. We can all feel it. Like it was different. It was completely different. The way we won games. We didn't blow leads in the third period. They're clawing back. So
you outplayed teams.
You outplayed teams. Yeah. So. Even ones you didn't win. But yeah, so if there's nothing there, I wanted to jump into Smith. Will Smith, because I feel like... Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, before we get to that, it's just also great from the other side.
Wait, so we're not talking about Macklin?
Well, no, we can talk about that. But watching like the Shark Tank actually be excited, you guys get to go and see. But watching like a loud arena, like you could hear it on the broadcast. Like it's like, oh shit, we can actually get some excitement back. That's the thing that we've been missing, I think, the most is really excitement over this team. So
yeah, that was impressive. I think it was the Florida game, and Askarov said that's the loudest he's heard SAP Center. And I think the first goal they scored, I forgot who scored that one, and then the Alex Wennberg empty net goal. And that arena was 15,000 announce attendance too, not actual attendance. And so that's not the tank full, even close, right? And so that was
that's where we tell Askey and the boys, just wait till you hear us in the postseason. Just you wait. Get us there. You get us there, and we will be. Yep. Yeah, we'll blow that top off.
I did want to say this about Macklin, though, because I can't believe that we could talk 2 hours about the Sharks and hardly bring up Macklin. That I did think this was a very interesting road trip for him, and I'm curious to see how he adjusts. This is part of the adjustment for the rest of the season, and if this is the best Macklin we get all year, then that's not that it's a concern, but you do want more. And what I mean by that is, so going into the road trip, the Macklin Celebrini train, superstar train, at chugging along at 100 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour, but bullet train speed. But I thought this was a very mixed road trip for Macklin. And what I saw was how hard teams checked him, which was already happening, but really saw it, though. Calgary, Mikhail Backman was on him like a blanket. In Minnesota, Joe Eriksson Ek was on him like a blanket. And in both those games, he wasn't doing a lot. But what I liked about Minnesota, though, was that the second they gave him an inch of space on the power play in overtime, he killed them.
2 primaries, he killed them.
And that's what a star does. and didn't like him against Calgary, but no one was good against Calgary. And I did write a story about possibly they might want to put Eklund with him because Eklund can we talked about this a couple weeks ago, can help Macklin play off the puck a little bit. Eklund carrying the load there not as good as Macklin at that, but very, very good though at it though. And that's exactly what happened once they put Eklund with Macklin. That it gave Macklin some of his best chances of the game. But I also understand why the next game they didn't do that, because you're actually the Sharks' best puck transporters are Macklin, number one, and then Eklund. So you put both of them together, you're weakening the rest of the lines, really. And so that there's a danger in doing that. And so Kurashev's a little bit of a compromise there, where he's pretty good carrying the puck blue line to blue line, but you can take him off of Eklund's line, because you have Eklund and Wenberg. Wenberg is the third best Shark according to Statleets in terms of puck transportation. But also too, Macklin too, to finish the point, he did have a strong game against Seattle, and maybe Seattle doesn't have a matchup center like Eriksson Ek or Backlund, who are kind of Selke-worthy guys, or in past years they have been. But still, nonetheless, he did kind of punch through with a much better game against Seattle. But that's why I want to watch, though, because I wonder with Macklin, is it just as simple as he has to fight through it? He has to fight through, like, you watch the Minnesota game, and, like, basically every time you receive the puck in a defensive zone, and Jeff Petrie talked about this too, of Florida, when I asked Jeff about this. He said, we want to prevent him from building up speed in the defensive zone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that's the same thing they talk about with McKinnon, with McDavid. Same kind of talk, right? Second thing is, you saw all those extra shots that Macklin was taking. Now, Macklin may not love my question about Florida's physicality, but that was an appropriate question for him, because Florida was giving it to him. Just extra shots that were uncalled, right? Eriksson Ek was called for an extra shot on Macklin in the Minnesota game, but that's what you do against there's no reason to complain about it. You're the future of the NHL. You're the Sharks' best player. You're going to have to take that. And so I wonder for Macklin how he adjusts through it. Is that just simple as he has to fight through it? And, we saw the Seattle game he fought through it. We saw the Minnesota game that he fought through it. And so that's kind of something I'm watching. So with Macklin.
No, I'm with you. I think to your point, he's already, to a degree, proven he still has that bite. Like, he's an alpha. He keeps going.
Sure.
Like, he does not.
He's a dog.
He doesn't let up.
That's
like
what Brad Marchand said. He's a dog.
Yeah, he still goes, and I think that's what you're seeing, and obviously he's gonna learn a little bit more, and also I think to a degree, like, they haven't had another winger with Macklin's line that can keep up. I think Will Smith deserves to be there, but he deserves another winger, and I think these are questions that the Sharks do need to start to think about, is like, who's going to fill that role, and on the defensive side also, like, he's doing a lot of great things defensively. Like yesterday's goal, that he was coming back and tracking his guy, and it was just an unlucky bounce. But Klingberg made a mistake on that play, and if you have more competent D, I think you're going to get a better Macklin. And to your point, Sheng,
of course.
He has another winger, I think that's a lot of it. But he's already been going to the middle of the ice more. He still battles. I did like Graf on that line in Minnesota for a little bit. I thought they played well together. But, he needs someone. I still believe he needs a big body. He needs
like an Igor Chernyshov or something like that.
A Haltonen, or even a Haltonen, someone who could check.
About that. Let's talk about that in a little bit. But I wonder, though, I'm thinking more like, I don't know Ehlers' numbers for this, but I know the Sharks were interested in Ehlers in off-season. Of course, Ehlers didn't want to sign here for obvious reasons. But a guy like that, like an Eklund type, to take the puck-carrying loads, I'm not thinking so much about size. I don't know. I think maybe size is the answer, but that's.
I think they need a
different solutions.
Yeah, I think they definitely need a Matthew Nyes, even a.
Yeah, I think they need a guy who's going to take pucks off the wall, a guy who's going to get to the front of the net, a guy that's going to transition to guys like Celebrini and Smith up ice, so like play a 200-foot game. I think that's what they need.
Yeah.
Toffoli fills in that role, but he's lost a little bit of speed, I think it looks like. But it's hard to say.
Talk about maybe we can skip that. I was going to talk about Eklund next, but we can talk about Toffoli after this. But go ahead though, yeah.
But I think this Toffoli's just the benefit of him is he is a secondary shooting option, and he's so smart. Like, he's just a very smart hockey player, so he can keep up mentally with Smith and Celebrini and transition well. But yeah, you're right. Like, the actual speed at which they attack, they could use a faster guy, I think, on their wing. So I don't know. We'll talk about Igor Chernyshov later because I watched him this week. He's not there yet. I just want to preface that, but I think that's an interesting.
I want to hear that, yeah, because there's a lot of talk about them calling him Ostapchuk over guys, flashier guys. But yeah, let's talk about that in a second. But in terms of, let's just skip to Toffoli then. So I actually thought Toffoli was actually very good against Seattle. And
in the third line,
what
right?
I watched. Yeah, on the third line, yeah. What I watched for with Toffoli, and Toffoli was good with Smith and Celebrini before the road trip. He was actually he was on a little bit of a run with points, but like you mentioned, Keegan, that like Toffoli, I'm not sure if he's slow. It's hard to tell because I've never watched his skating that much. He's never been a great skater, even back to when he was coming out of the Ottawa 67s and when the Kings drafted him. That's always been the knock against him. But when his puck movement, though, is precise, he thinks the game fast enough, like he said. And then when he makes that connecting pass to, let's say, Macklin to Toffoli to Smith or vice versa, and he was doing that before, when the Sharks were playing some of their best hockey before the road trip. And so, anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's slow. That's something I gotta ask around. Has he slowed down a bit, which is obviously a concern because he's here for 3 more years. He does have an upper body injury that Warsawski says he's playing through, and so I wonder because his shot doesn't seem to have the same kind of. This is just like kind of visual. There's not it's just kind of eye test without too much backup, but his shot doesn't seem to have the same vinegar as maybe we're used to. So maybe that's where it's kind of affecting him. He had a really good chance yesterday, I think, coming off. Maybe it was a power play chance, but he was on a second unit, so he jumped off. He jumped on the ice just as the first unit was finishing, but he got a nice pass, and it didn't quite. Maybe didn't look like he got as much of it as you're used to with him. So maybe that's an issue with Toffoli. So I don't know. I think it's I'm not sure what exactly is going on with him. He's not quite as strong as he is last year, but there are extenuating circumstances too.
Yeah, I think we'd have to ask around to see if other people. It seems like maybe he's just a half a step slower, but it's really tough to say. You're right with injuries and everything, and these kind of things like later on in the season.
He's not a fast guy anyway.
Yeah,
and
maybe
and you could,
he kind of gets into a more of a groove and looks a little bit faster.
And I think you could say like the Sharks' attack has also just gotten faster, and there's a lot of rush playing. So it's not necessarily that he's gotten slower, but also just that differential of the way that the Sharks attack these days. There's a lot more movement off the puck when they're doing it right.
2-1-2.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just I don't think favors his style or his getting older very well. So I think it's some of that too. I think the Sharks' attack has changed, and you have different leadership. He's gotten removed off the PP1, which I think is fair and justified. So I think he's in this third line position now, and I think he does have to reevaluate. Because we need secondary scoring on this team right now, and he needs to put some pucks behind the net. And you're right, I didn't know he was injured, so obviously that's you have to put that into account. But I would like to see him find his place in the third line, and I agree with you, Sheng, that I saw him find a role on that third line last night, and so hopefully it can result in some pucks in the net.
Yeah, but I guess overall, when we're talking about this team, though, we talk about how sustainable their winning was. I mean, they don't have a lot of solutions beyond Macklin and Eklund. I guess it was a good guy to bring up in terms of like these guys are bona fide, have become pretty bona fide all around NHL forwards, and a lot of credit to Eklund for that. Just how good he's been this year.
You're not putting Smith in this? Okay.
No, Will and Will's just 20, and so I want to super stress that. Like a lot of people expect him to be like oh, he's slow, oh, he's this and that. He's 20 years old. He's putting up, since the midpoint of last year, he's a point-per-game player as a 19, 20-year-old in this league. He is a remarkable talent. I wrote this in a story yesterday, he's a human highlight reel. But he is, in terms of just his normal growth as a player, he's not a complete player by any sense yet, and that's okay.
I disagree.
William Eklund,
I disagree.
At this rate. No, I mean,
I
I
disagree.
will, yeah, because he's had some good plays where he wins some battles, but he is not on a night-to-night basis there yet. And maybe he will get there sooner than expected. But so I don't think I think right now it's clear that the Sharks' second. Last year you would have said, okay, Macklin was probably the best forward. Even though it's just his rookie year. Maybe Toffoli was the second best forward. Maybe Mikhail Granlund, when he was here, was right there. You can argue for Wettenberg, just his completeness. And then Eklund might be like your fifth or sixth best forward last year. But I think Eklund's jump has been, at least so far this year, consistent enough where he, to me, is the clear second best. And he's a fairly complete player. Whereas Will Smith is still finding that. And again, that's totally okay. So if you look at it,
I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
I strongly disagree.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I think Will Smith is playing great hockey right now. I think he's just he's playing his role. He's got 2 game-winning goals this season. One of them was that sweet pass from Kurashev from behind the net. Every other player on the Sharks, except for Macklin, is probably shooting that puck, and you don't win that game. I think that was against Winnipeg. No, who was that against? The pass from behind the net, and then Will Smith passes across. Kurashev to Will Smith in front of that. He passes across to Macklin. Macklin shoots it. Will Smith buries it. What game was that?
Oh, that was Will Smith was just in front of the net, right? That might have been Winnipeg.
I think it was Winnipeg. Oh,
yeah, but okay. So
the point is that level of playmaking. No one else, or even on that power play goal against Minnesota where he sets up backdoor on that entry, which Eklund was a part of. So was Toffoli. So was Macklin. He has a hockey IQ that I think validates him even being more impactful and more important than Eklund on this team. If you look at his point, he's a +7. Eklund's a -5. Will Smith's hockey IQ is so high.
Throw out that stat. Come on.
Okay, well,
don't throw the plus minus at me there.
Sure. Overall,
look at Eklund's matchups against with Wettenberg against.
Will Smith's playing first line.
McKinnon's.
Will Smith's playing first line.
Yeah, but he's not matched up against the best offensive players on the other side typically, though. He's usually seeing Eriksson Ek, which is a tough matchup too, obviously in a different kind of way.
If you're an offensive, then we're defining different roles. If Eklund's like a shutdown forward and a defensive forward, and that's his role, then we could talk about this separately. But in terms of, and Keegan, you know this as well because you've been following Will Smith for a long time. So have I. He's always been known to be clutch. Mm-hmm. In big games, he shows up. Like that's what he had that around him, even in Boston and in the NCAA, and even before that, he shows up big in big moments, and he's continued to do that. So and I think even in a 500 team, I know plus minus again, I'm not taking it as like the ultimate stat, but it is a stat that is one data point that tells you a little bit of something. It's pretty impressive that he's a +7, even though people criticize his defensive side of the game. Sometimes I'm seeing less of that, and I've actually seen really good growth in Will Smith this season. And I think he goes under the radar because he plays with Macklin, and Macklin's Macklin, and he's flying on the ice. But a lot of the movement off the puck and a lot of the Will Smith game that I've been seeing, I'm really happy with him. And I can definitely convince myself in him being the number 2 forward on the team right now after Macklin.
Well, I didn't want to say that, again, I'm not trying to denigrate Smith at all. I think that what he's doing is amazing. And when I say human highlight reel, I mean that in, the best sense of the word. Mm-hmm. He is literally a human highlight reel out there.
Yeah.
He makes plays that Macklin can't make. Yeah. He absolutely does do that. And so I'm not taking away from that. And I do know that, historically he is a clutch player too. But Will Smith, I find that in games he can kind of not be there for a little while, and then he makes this amazing play.
Yeah,
and that's great. That's a quality, right? But
he's
terms
not
of winning hockey.
He's not a liability. He's less of a liability too.
I didn't call him. Did I call him liability?
No.
I did not.
Okay.
So
yeah.
In terms of winning hockey, though, you want consistency and reliability. That's why when Warsawski, I know people don't like this, but when he yo-yos lines around, you don't see Eklund being moved down to the third line because Eklund is both highly skilled, but has a reliable motor. Even when Eklund isn't scoring, he's helping you still, right? And Macklin is the same way too. When Macklin's not scoring, he can still help you. Will Smith hasn't found that yet. That's why when we talk about USA hockey, I bet you Will Smith is not seriously in that conversation yet because he hasn't reached that point yet where USA can say, like, okay, we can't put Will Smith in our top 6. He's not quite there yet. If we bring him and put him on a fourth line, can he help us? Probably not. Okay, he's not coming. Whereas with Macklin, I've made this argument, Team Canada can identify Macklin as, okay, if Macklin is not our 1 or 2 center, and we give that to McKinnon and McDavid, can Macklin help us as a fourth-line winger or in any role on the team? Absolutely, Macklin can do that.
But is Team Sweden taking Eklund is the bigger question.
I think Eklund, in that sense, has shown enough that there's at least an argument that if you put him on a third, fourth-line energy role on a Team Sweden, that he can do that now, which you couldn't say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm gonna shoot the middle of both your arguments.
Okay.
Because it's the good thing to do. I think I do agree. Eklund's a way more complete player than Smith, but I don't think that Smith is ever going to actually be a complete player. I think maybe he's going to be better for sure, but I think what you're looking for Smith is what you're going to get. It's just going to be more human highlight reels. It's going to be more of that high octane offensive style of play. Yes, he's going to disappear. No, he does not have the 200-foot game, the back-checking prowess, the anything that Eklund does or whatever. So you kind of have to choose what player you want as like the second best player on the team. I think skill-wise, it's Will Smith. I think it's playing hockey. I think you're right, Chang. I think it's Eklund right now. But like Smith and Celebrini, that's the beauty is like they are like it was a. Like, yes, Will Smith wanted to be center, and we talked about him playing center, but having him be a winger, he still needs to learn a little bit more of, like, board play, I think, is something that he's got to get better at, and using the body and everything, but him and Celebrini just make such a match that, like, this is the Taves and Kane going forward. This is your, pick a center, pick a winger that are matched up with each other forever. So I think that's coming true in the last couple of weeks for sure. We thought it might be that, but it's really becoming true. So excited about that. But I'm gonna call them both 2.5s.
Well, to go off your point of Kane and Taves, like
I'm shooting the middle.
Let me ask you this: so like on a Kane and Taves comp, maybe like on that Blackhawks team,
Celebrini's gonna be better than Taves. That's the point. But
for sure. But like. So then obviously Smith is your Caners, right? Also one of his favorite players all time growing up.
I think
and then your Patrick Sharp is Eklund, right? Essentially.
Yeah, maybe.
In that comp.
Yeah.
So and my point is my point though is who is untradeable in that? Who is like your anchor? It's Will Smith. And Will Smith's been playing really good hockey.
Yeah, but like Patrick Kane becomes that later though, right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting that Will Smith ever needs to be a Selke candidate or whatever, right? It's saying that, okay, let's just use like general numbers. Like Will Smith is like an 80 offense right out of 100, and maybe his defense, his overall game might be a 30, right? Now, Patrick Kane might be 100 offense and like a 50 his defense and whatever, right? That's all Will Smith needs to get to. No one's saying Will Smith needs to be a 80-80 player, 80 offense, 80 defensive player. Eklund might end up being like a 80 offense, a 60 defense. Nice, well-rounded player there. So right now, William Eklund is the Sharks' second. This is right now. It's again it's no swipe on Will Smith. Like Will Smith, if Will Smith can get his defense overall and his compete, right, which he showed yesterday against Seattle, which I wrote about.
Yeah.
And that's got to be every night thing, though. I don't know why that is controversial or even a question mark. If you want to win hockey, if you want to play winning hockey, your best players need to have that every night. It can't be a turn on, turn off thing. That was a William Eklund problem early on. Not that he intentionally turned it on and off, but just sometimes he could disappear. in high traffic games and physical games, just because he was young probably and he wasn't confident in his body. It's probably the same thing with Will Smith.
Well, I saw some of that from Eklund last night. He disappeared at parts of yesterday's game.
Well, I don't know. I think consistently though, William Eklund has shown that has not happened a lot this year. If you want to pick certain shifts
after the injury, after he got back from
but-
injury, he definitely is not in full self.
Oh,
I'll tell you
no,
that.
that's
Yeah.
wrong. That first game back, he was amazing.
First
Minnesota,
yeah.
he was the best.
Minnesota
player on the
for
ice.
sure. Yeah,
he was the best player on the ice. Everyone disappeared against Calgary.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Calgary, you
so,
can't. Yeah, that's the whole team. Yeah, that's fair.
Then we have Seattle. So we're talking about 3 games here. One game
Yeah.
where everybody disappeared. And actually, in that game against Calgary, William Eklund was one of the few players that had like kind of a pulse that game. He wasn't good, but he was, I think, better than a lot of players.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that's neither here nor there. But the point is just that no one is saying that Will Smith needs to be Macklin, needs to be William Eklund. But there are things for him to be better at, like on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute, shift-by-shift NHL level. That I think William Eklund seems to, and William Eklund's a 2021 pick.
Yeah, versus 20.
Exactly.
Right.
Right, and that's the point I'm making. I'm not attacking. I love Will Smith, and like I said, Will Smith, what he can do out there, like I said, he can make plays again. I don't say this about anybody. He can make plays that Macklin can't make, and we see that all the time. We could see a game where he, 10 minutes of his ice time, doesn't do a lot, and he just does something like, holy shit, what did he just do?
I've called Will Smith's vision the singular best skill of any Sharks forward. Like that is let's count again. We've talked this before. Celebrini-ness is different. Like it is his celebrini-ness, but his vision is like grading it out of 100 scale. It's in the 90s, so it's
But I don't think Will Smith right now is like on a better team is necessarily, like I said, a winning hockey player. Again, there's nothing wrong with that because again, second year, he's
I think we're getting
20
there,
years
though.
old.
I think
He's getting there. Yeah, he is.
lots of progress
I'm not
just this
taking that
season.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compare him at the beginning of this year versus even the end of last year when he was on his hot streak point-wise. On the defensive side of the puck, he's much better. And I agree with you. Yesterday,
not taking a thing away from him. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't know what the argument is then. Yeah,
We're just agreeing in an argumentative tone.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Why we need a timer at the top for our.
Because and I love Eklund. I love Eklund's game. But yeah, no, it's all good stuff all around. I just wanted to talk about him because I thought he's been playing very well. Will Smith in particular lately, and his clutchness is right there. Like every time there's a big goal, he's either a primary or getting the goal.
Yeah.
He
He's
has
got
that
ice water in
clutchness.
the veins thing. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. He does.
I think if you're planning a team out, you have now looked at your number 1 C, your number 1 right wing, your number 2 left winger. I think you're still kind of question marks of what Dickinson and Mukhamadullin are going to be for where they slot. Is Dickinson a number 4 guy or is he a number 2 guy? Is Mukhamadullin a number 6 guy or a number 4 guy? Those are the big questions for defense. But you finally have started to solidify those like forward spots, and Colin Graf is like just going to be your bottom 6 versatile
He's your Swiss Army
PK
knife.
Yeah, he's going to be your Swiss Army knife guy in the future. So we're getting some of it, and we have Askarov, who's going to be our starting goaltender, hopefully, knock on wood. But you're getting these pieces that are solidified in the future that Mike Grier's been planning out. We just got to fill in the gaps more than anything.
Right.
So let's get
in.
into our Keegan. To that point, let's get into our prospect of the week.
Oh, are we done with?
No. We got a couple more things so we can
All
get
right,
to
go
it.
ahead.
So.
Okay. I was like, that's a good transition
I know the
to
show's
future
going
pieces.
long, but I do want to say I do agree with you, Zubair, that with Smith, that the long term, that you want him to be our number 2 player. I don't think he's there yet, but the team is better for it. I love William Eklund, doesn't have Will Smith ceiling, so they can recognize that too. But wanted to add though, okay, so Jeff Skinner got hurt, and we're not sure how long he's going to be out. It looked like a really, really bad injury, but it is worth noting though that he did not go immediately back to San Jose. He stayed with the team. So the Sharks were hopeful as of yesterday that it wouldn't be too serious. Maybe that was it's going to be a false hope, but they have the day off today, flying back today. But anyway, that led to the Sharks calling up Ostapchuk over Musty and Chernyshov and Ethan Cardwell And so we're going to talk about Chernyshov in a second, but wanted your guys' thoughts on that because I didn't find this strange at all. A lot of fans found this, I guess, very strange. But anyway, what do you guys think of that?
Well, I like Ostapchuk. You guys know that about me, and I like him getting the opportunity. I think he's been doing well playing fourth line center on the CUDA lately, and I liked him on that line.
Yeah, he was good yesterday. I thought
he looked good. Good forecheck. He was good off the puck. 100%. Absolutely. Again, positive development.
Like kind
and
of
it's about
offense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of those things where people are like, well, why not Chernyshov? It's like, well, these are different roles. Yeah, okay, you could generally be like they're all forwards. But, there's different roles depending on where you're slotted, on what line, what opportunities there are. And there wasn't a lot of opportunity as a top two winger. Those guys have not outplayed Kurashev or, someone who would maybe take that spot, or Eklund, like with Chernyshov or Haltunen or whoever you might consider. So I thought it was the obvious move. I didn't understand, like you, Sheng, why there would be any debate about it. I think he did a good job in the role, and you want to see him develop because we want to figure out those 3-4 centers for the future, and I think he's still one of those options long term.
Yeah, I surprisingly, I'm not gonna. I think it was a perfectly fine move. I had no problem with it because Ostapchuk this is the role he's going to fill, and this is what they felt like they needed for the team. And I think it would be honestly a mistake. You could reward something like Musty and Chernyshov's good play by being like, oh, you should come up and play. But I honestly think that neither of them had like a very great start to the year. I mean, like Musty had a good training camp and stuff like that, but neither of them were lighting it up in the AHL. And then over the last like 5-6 games, both of them are really starting to show their offense. It'd be kind of a mistake to just be like, okay, here's the NHL. In my opinion, it would be like,
good point.
You're just starting to get it. Both of these guys are not the caliber prospect of Smith and Eklund and Celebrini, but you want them to turn into something, and they're going to be offensive pieces. They need to learn more in the AHL than they do playing and making mistakes. Unless you like, certain players can just make that jump and like you ride the hot streak and they're fine. But certain players will like fizzle out, and guys like Cardwell and Ostapchuk, they're going to fit roles that are way different than Musty and Chernyshov are going to fit in the future. So I think it's easier to call them up, give them some time. And Cardwell looked fine in his games. I think there was some, like, Cardwell's always been this, like, he has a game where you're like, that's Ethan Cardwell, and then you don't notice him for 4 games, and you're like, okay, all right. Where's the Cardwell that, like, is pushing play and is ball of energy, you know? It's not always the most consistent thing, so I think they just wanted to give a new guy a chance. I think if we're looking at another one in the future, it might even be like, depending on how Bstat does, he needs to push play a little bit more. Maybe Bstat gets a call up to see what he looks like in the fourth line.
Yeah.
There's a pecking order, right? And unless Chernyshov has got a hat trick every night, he's not coming up for right now.
Yeah, when you look at how they constructed the lines yesterday, the spot that Chernyshov or Musty or Cam Lund, let's not forget him, he's having a good start to season. Like, they would have to take a top 9 role to justify calling them up, right? And they're not playing fourth line center, and you're not. Look, Reeves and Gaudreau aren't leaving the fourth line. They play pretty well too, so they're not leaving the fourth line anytime soon. So anyway, so you got to fill that role and a top 9 winger role, and for that, the Sharks put up Graf and Gaudette. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Graf and Gaudette, I think, have earned looks at a top 9 winger role. And they are better NHL players right now than Musty and Chernyshov. And I would say Ostapchuk is a better NHL player. I'm not saying he's a more skilled player, but Ostapchuk is a better NHL player right now than Musty and Chernyshov. And so
in certain
you
roles,
give...
for sure.
For a role, for that 4C role.
To just add to that, Sheng, too, I think when you say better NHL player, and this is something that I just want to add to, is like, who's going to be a larger egregious defensive liability? And someone like Musty,
the possibility
of it. Yeah, right.
I want
and
to
so
say that it's going to happen for sure.
And even Cardwell, right? Like you kind of know what you're going to get in the defensive zone, and you want that trust to be brought into an NHL game. You don't want to have like what happened with Dickinson a couple games ago, because it's a 1-goal game, and those mistakes are far greater than the potential of an offensive upside. And that's a lot of times what these people are considering, management's considering when they call someone up or not. And to your point, NHL readiness, Ostapchuk, just with his games played in the NHL, deserves that.
Right.
Right.
And the risk part is a big part of it.
Yep.
He's, okay, like you could just move Gaudette down to 4C, and then you can call up one of these wingers, but then there's the risk part of it. You give, let's say, Chernyshov his first NHL game, but you put him on a third line, and yeah, maybe he scores a goal for you. Yeah, sure. Or maybe something else happens, right? That's not so good. And so, and like Keegan mentioned, that it's not like these guys have been. You know, I watched the Barracuda a couple weeks ago. That was some awful hockey I watched. I think it was like a 5-1 loss to Ontario. And those guys were not good that game. It's not just on them. The whole team was terrible.
Yeah.
But it's not like they've put together a stretch of great play, starting this season. But anyway, though. Okay, so if we're done with that thought, I think this leads us to our. Have we figured out Keegan's Corner? We don't have a name for this yet. We need music too. We need some like rookie music or something like that. So.
Keegan's
like a whole
prospects.
That was
Keegan.
That was very sleepy.
Keegan.
What that?
Subliminal.
Keegan.
Let's go, Keegan.
We need I think an AI can do this, right? We could just plug that in and it's a song generated AI.
I'm gonna play that ridiculous AI song that was like the Sharks goal song for us.
Oh yeah.
Just as we gotta play that just to be hilarious. Boiler's gonna be pissed. It's gonna be great.
So I think every week we're going to try and do one 2026 NHL draft eligible and one Sharks guy, with the focus mostly being on the Sharks prospect.
And you're doing Chernyshov today?
I'm doing Chernyshov, and then I'm doing
exciting.
Ethan Belchetz.
Okay.
And last week I chose two defenders, and I think it made sense this week to choose two power forwards or power-ish forward guys. What do you guys want to do with Belchetz first or Chernyshov? What do we want to do?
Let's go with Belchetz, and let's end up with the Shark guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ethan Belchetz, he's generally slotted in like the top 5-ish of the next draft, consolidated ranking of 5 according to Elite Prospects. They like rank a bunch of different sources together. He is a 6'4", 6'5" left winger, very much a winger, who is built. He has excellent hands, and he also has the what do you call it? The NHL readiness that Sheng Peng would love. He has got a he just has a nose for battling in the corners. He has a great ability to pickpocket other players. He gets to the net like that. Like he is immediatly get the puck, get it to someone else, get to the net. That is like
so we found our first line player that we want with Macklin and Will.
I know. Watching him, you get visions of like, okay, this guy. You watch him and you're like, he looks like an NHLer. He has that look of an NHL player, and it's very easy to see. He's going to be the coach's like, okay, he's going to come in and he's going to play for us. It's not difficult to see. He's big, he's fast, he's got great hands for a guy his size. I think you want to see more playmaking. Obviously, like you want that high end. If you're going to spend a top 5 pick on him, you want the ceiling not to be a third line great player. It's a top line player. So that's what I worry about in his development is like he's coach's candy, right? Like you could just teach him to battle along the boards and get to the net, and that's how he's going to earn his money. But if you kind of foster that creativity in him, he has a lot of playmaking, and he's got a ton of skill in his hands that like he could be special rather than just good. It's just you need to foster a certain aspect of him and not just tell him to go bang bodies, because he can do it. He's good at it, but there is something else there that really puts him in a top 5 discussion. And if he was fully rounded out, he's a special player rather than just a good player. So that's my spiel on Ethan Belchetz. Super excited to watch him at the end of the year, because I think right now it's just kind of him bullying around. He uses his body like he knows that he is bigger and stronger and can completely bully junior competition. But I want to see if it turns the corner into that special player. Kind of like what we saw from Chernyshov last year, where he was just lights out, way better than everybody in the OHL even. So That's what I want to see from Belchetz, but I think he's going top 5, top 10 no matter what, even if he's a winger.
And did you
favorite
cover this?
fact
Where's he
about
playing? Where
Belchetz?
can we see more of him?
Okay.
Yeah, so he's playing for the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL.
Okay.
So you can watch it on Flow Hockey, which we don't have a sponsorship with, but we should get one. I don't know why they don't.
I know.
Flow
Right?
Hockey's
I'll
a
talk
great.
with,
Now that
Chris
they've
and Liz about it.
combined so many services, it's. I know. What we know them. They could get on the. We could get a sponsorship from Flow,
My
but you could
favorite,
combine like AHL,
facts-
OHL, Q.
Favorite fact about Ethan Belchetz is he is from Oakville, Ontario, which is where very famous Sharks prospect is from. Anyone have a guess? Current Sharks prospect? Michael Misa.
Misa?
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also,
There you go.
also Ryan Merkley
I
too,
think,
but we don't
I
say
think-
we don't say his name on podcasts anymore. So
Yeah, I was looking at Evan Bouchard, Ryan Merkley, Michael Misa. They're the most viewed from Oakville, Ontario on Elite
Yeah.
Prospects. So,
Nice.
all right. But yeah, exciting game. If the Sharks didn't need D so badly, I would say this might be a guy to look out for, and they might still be looking out for him. But I think there's just a lot of D that we're going to cover in the next couple weeks that they might choose one of them instead. But Igor Chernyshov is he's not the opposite of Belchetz by any stretch of the imagination. He's not like a soft perimeter winger who's just big because he's big. He actually has some physicality and some bite to him, and he has a lot of defensive instincts, I'd like to call it. Like he gets back, he's got a nose for stealing pucks and kind of transitioning from the high slot by taking pucks away, and that's like something that if you were a coach, you really, really want him to get better at. I think he still, this is just my opinion, because I know that Mike Gruss says he skates like the wind, and I've heard people say that he is very fast, and I think at top speed he is hard to stop and he's fast, but I think he still needs a little bit more work on acceleration and that quick step thing. I think that's still something that, just watching him, it seems like there's a little bit of a hitch, like just getting off of the first couple steps, but it's not like it's world ending or anything like that. I think he just needs more time with his skating, because he's powerful. What I love about Chernyshov the most is he's a very quick thinker. He, like Toffoli in the NHL or any players that can think the game super fast, he can transition the puck and knows where the play is going and knows where to be after he gets the puck to somebody else, so he can move to a spot to get into a scoring area. He's very smart. It's not always he's not always, again, able to get to the puck to affect play and use his smarts as well. That's why I think he needs more time in the AHL. He's got to work on getting the puck back and getting more touches, and that's that's just going to take more time. But he's super smart, and his shot placement is very smart. The way that he shoots around players and shoots through screens and picks corners. He's just a very smart shooter as well. So I like a lot of elements of Chernyshov, even more so than a guy like Musty, even though I think Musty's a better puck carrier, better transition forward.
sure, always
But
has been, yeah.
Yeah, always has been. But I think those are the flashy things. You're like, oh, he's carrying the puck across the zone and he can beat this defender. But Chernyshov has just a lot more well-roundedness, a lot more smart, and then just smart shooting, good playmaking to round it out. I think he needs more time to really, again, get that special element that's going to keep him in the NHL. But I did like the 2 games I watched of him this week. But I'm not clamoring saying like he needs to call up now. But I do think that there is a possibility that he's a top 6 forward in the future. It's he's in the past like 5-6 games, he's got 7 points. He had that hat trick the other night. He looked dominant, and that's what you need. He needs to really feed on that and be a consistent dominant force. But I like Igor Chernyshov a lot. I think he's got huge upside for the Sharks.
What did you see early in the season where maybe he struggled a little?
That same thing. He can't getting to the puck and getting the puck off of other players. The other thing that he struggles with is he has a tendency to go one-on-one and kind of just, as he's attacking a defender, chip the puck past them and try to get through them or around them, which is cool, and it works in the OHL and it works in juniors, but it's not working in a lot of games in the OHL, in the AHL. it looks like he is just kind of unforced erroring, giving up the puck in that way, as opposed to just chipping it or stalling, waiting for someone to come up and support him. I think he's just trying to do a little bit too much carrying the puck that wasn't working. It's never been like his strongest suit. He's more of that quick playmaking guy, or on the power play, he does hold on to the puck really well and can kind of set up the next pass. But I think carrying he still kind of struggles with one-on-one. So, but it's improved, and I think it's a really cool. Like, I want to keep those guys together. I want Musty. I want Chernyshov, Cagnoni to really form, like, okay, we've beaten this level of competition. We are ready before we put them up. Unless Chernyshov again is dominating every night, then call him up because I want to see what he does in the NHL. But not there yet.
One thing I always noticed with Chernyshov that he does well, even in the OHL when he played with Misa, like, he gets to the high danger areas very well. And he moves the puck into the higher danger areas, either through shots, passes through like the crease, or he'll just put his body in there. And he times his entry into those high danger areas really well. Even the hat trick the other night, like those are 3 different types of goals. He's not like a very one-dimensional forward. He has the size, he has a little bit of skill. And that's where I don't necessarily – this is where I see him cracking the Sharks lineup before – Musty or Haltonen. It's also because I can see him playing third line wing. He's not like a Musty. He kind of has to play top 4 wing in many ways that I see just by his style of game. Where Chernyshov has a little bit more, a larger skill set that is more translatable to the NHL and you know what I mean. So again, I love the way he gets to those high danger areas where again that's a hard thing to do, and he has the size and the creativity to time it to get into those areas. So
absolutely. He like you said, gets the puck into a higher danger area, gets himself into a high danger area, knows where the play is going to go, and that's 90% of hockey is knowing where to be and where to go, and he does that very well. He's just, I think the acceleration needs to improve a little, physicality and getting knocking players off of pucks, and then maybe a little less one-on-one stuff when he tries to go up the middle, because doesn't really work. And it probably won't work at the next level. My comp for him has always been, and this has always been too lofty of a comp, is Mark Stone, who's like that's like my like.
I think I said it a last time.
It's defensively. Comp is different. Comp is different. Like comp is different than Seelig, right? Comp is like who he reminds me of when I see him play at his best, right? Like he has a
better stride than Stone,
but like that kind of similar. Maybe there's some heaviness, but he does have power and he can get to a top speed. But just super smart, knows where to be, great shooter, and that's like the guy that I see. Obviously, Mark Stone is like a defensive wizard. That is like, if you can foster that in Chernyshov, I think there's elements of it, but it needs a lot more work to even be close to a Mark Stone level. But offensively, he reminds me of a Mark Stone.
Another thing about Chernyshov that we didn't talk about is like he has a really good vision. He's cheeky with his passes. Like you see him deceive with his passing a lot. You saw that a lot when he was with Misa. They would just have these plays where he's looking off the puck, kind of like Macklin, and then just like short pass to Misa or into those high danger areas. He's really good at that, and that's another unique skill or attribute that he has. That, I mean, Musty even has a little bit of that actually. He's a very sneaky passer. For sure. But Chernyshov does it or Musty does it more in like the high slot area, point area. You see Chernyshov do that down low and get pucks through the crease and to those high dangers. Really sneaky, deceptive passing.
For sure. It's he's a good playmaking winger as well as like got a power forward build. So super excited about him overall. But needs more time, and obviously, again, don't yell at me that I called him the Sharks Mark Stone. Like, he's got a lot of ways to go.
Sharks will take it. Sharks will take it.
If you ever reclaim that, it's
dude.
chef's kiss. Awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I think there's obviously Mark Stone's like he's an all-star. He's a great player. It's not like, there's not like comp-wise, I guess that's the way to put it.
Of the young wingers this is, I think, the last one for me, but Musty, Chernyshov, Lund, and Haltonen.
Yeah.
Who, from what you've seen, is would you say right now is the most likely to get called? Like, who just has the most kind of, combination of well-rounded, but also some offensive promise there too that might translate to this level?
Might be Cam Lund. Maybe it might be Cam Lund. I'm not as excited about when I watch Cam Lund. Like, I don't get all jazzed. I'm like get like that feeling of that's really nice, that's really good. But yeah, I think if you're looking for and I don't know if Cam Lund would do. This is I don't know, because I might just eat my words. He gets called up and has like a hat trick in his first game or something. But I don't know if there would be that much plus or minus that Cam Lund would do on the ice in the NHL just yet. But I think if you're looking for just like kind of evening the minutes that you give to the prospect, I think Cam Lund would be the one to maybe do it. So like, he hasn't been bad. He's been good, and he's smart. He's not as, I won't like to say bad defensively, but not as like disengaged as I remember him being in college defensively. He seems to get it a little bit more now than he did before. I'm just not super excited. I don't know. That's the
yeah. Maybe his ceiling isn't as high as a Chernyshov or Musty.
Or I'll eat my words, and he's gonna be great. One of them will likely turn into something for the Sharks, at least one.
Yeah.
So. More time though, and Cam Lund's older too than in either of them.
Yeah, he played some NHL last year too, so it's not the fairest comp, but just because they're a similar profile players, all four of them. So.
Yeah, it might be him. I think they would. I think they're gonna get Beast at a call up at some point just to see what he does in the NHL. I don't know if he's like I don't know. I think we've been waiting.
Oh, we should save that. We could do a spotlight on him next week or something. Yeah.
It's just my thoughts as they might give him a game or two to try. Just he's kind of in that next line of age-related persons to go. Although Cam Lund was from the same draft, so.
But yeah, we talked about in the top 10 prospect show we did a couple months ago that I was hearing a lot of good stuff about Lund.
Yeah.
That we were underrating him a little bit. So.
Yeah, and he's been good. He's got 10 points, I think, in 10 games.
Yeah.
He's been good, and I think it's just my own biases. I'm never always excited. And he's going to watch this podcast and be like, Keegan, you fucking asshole. I don't know. There are moments. And in college, he had some great moments as well. Still a smart player, great playmaker as well. So Musty also, I think we should give a shout out that he hasn't like done the, I'm just a junior hockey player who can't translate my offense or my skill. He's actually doing it. He's doing the thing, which is he has to, the thing that got him there, right? Like, he has to carry the puck and make creative offensive plays. And he's doing it right now. Not all the time, but there are moments, and you watched it in that game with Chernyshov having that hat trick, that Musty's there, driving a lot of that play. So, yeah. Little Keegan's Prospect Corner, if anybody's still listening. I get the last 5 minutes, the best 5 minutes of the podcast.
I mean, I love hearing about it. There's so much great prospect stuff to talk about. I mean, yeah, in many ways, the deeper level of the San Jose Sharks' future is all on the CUDA right now, really, like majority of them. So it's really exciting times to go to watch the CUDA right now.
We got spoiled by having a bunch of really good players make the NHL right away. We basically have everybody else in the CUDA. There are some prospects that are still playing around the juniors and college and stuff, but most of our good players are in San Jose. Right
well, let's end on this last one. So Misa, right? If he's not back, right, can he get 2 weeks in a conditioning stint in the AHL?
Yeah.
Right. So that would be really fun to watch.
That would be, yeah.
Right, like Misa down there, he's probably on Chernyshov and because Chernyshov and Musty are playing together, right?
Yep.
So
Most of the time,
he'd center that line, and then we get to see because it's a hard step in the NHL, and that little in between, it'd be fun to see Misa and then obviously that chemistry with Chernyshov in the AHL. So it's kind of something
that
to look forward
could take
to.
them right to World Juniors too.
Yep,
so
exactly.
It all kind of lines up. I did want to tease too. Actually, in Seattle, I talked with Shane Wright, and I talked with Shane Wright all about his 2022-23 season when he bounced from Seattle to Coachella Valley to the World Juniors to back to the OHL. And so that was a good conversation with Shane. I don't know if that's going to happen with Michael Misa, but it's possible. So that's why I wanted to talk with Shane Wright about it. So
yeah, it's
anyway, so I just wanted to mention that. Yeah,
it's an interesting thing that we gotta, depending on how long Misa's out for injury-wise, we don't really have an idea just yet, but could be. Or if he lights it up at both the AHL and World Juniors, he just joins back to the Sharks.
Maybe.
Yeah. Awesome. Great episode, guys. Any closing thoughts?
Well, topped out. We're at 2:45, so I need to take a nap.
Yeah,
exactly. I gotta do something.
Yes. All right, guys. Great episode. Really enjoyed the chat with Kevin as well. And all right, we'll see you guys next week.